And we are live. Hey, Concrete.
Hey, 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 what's going on?
Happy Sunday, honey. How's it going?
Happy Sunday. It's going pretty good. How's it going with you?
I'm doing great. It's been an interesting day so far, but making moves, trying to do a little something. Um, Nothing too much happening. How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. I'm sorry, give me just 1 second. Sorry.
Okay. Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing? Hit the like button as you come in. We have a show lined up for you guys today.
hmm
Should be an interesting one.
Absolutely. It's definitely going to be an interesting show. Um, Definitely going to get off into an interesting topic, but sorry about that. I was sending the email. Um, as it relates to my weekend. My weekend was really good. It was really good. I got to meet up with you and do a belated birthday brunch.
Which I
So that
thoroughly
was
enjoyed. Thank
good.
you so much, because
You are so welcome, boo.
the way to my heart is through my stomach, honey. So I am forever
Listen,
ingratiated to it. Baby, I love a good meal. You already know.
yeah, that was definitely good. We don't get to meet up too often, so I enjoyed it, and the food was good too.
Yes.
Aside from that, I did a little bit of light shopping because I'm trying to reel it on in. The closer I get to these holidays, my account is looking at me like I'm crazy. So I did a little light shopping and then I came home and did some cleaning and listened to your interview with the Mister on yesterday while I cleaned, and that was really interesting, and I enjoyed that. But it's
Thank
been a pretty good
you.
weekend. What
If you
about for you?
guys, well, I was just going to say, if you guys have not seen my interview with Curlin, please go and check that out on under Sister George. It was a great interview. I finally got a chance to interview him. I've been wanting to do it for a while, but yeah, I finally got a chance to interview him, and
Mm-hmm.
that actually went better than expected. Like, I was so nervous about it, like, I don't know if I should, or,
Ah,
how's it gonna play out? But it played
it
out
was
really
really
good.
good. Yeah, it was really
Baby.
good. Good stuff. I think that, for those on the outside looking in, they can kind of see like your dynamic with him. It was just kind of like almost like we were invited to a personal conversation that you guys were having. So I enjoyed it. It was really good stuff.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. People keep asking, like, well, is a couples channel coming next? We're not gonna
Oh,
do anything as a couple.
okay.
Um, I'm not gonna say we're gonna do a couples channel per se,
hmm
but
But he'll be making some appearances.
he will definitely, definitely, definitely be making some appearances. So be on the
Okay.
lookout for that, because Curlin's got that voice, child, and
Okay,
so
the sultry manosphere couple. Okay, I see y'all. Okay, okay. Yeah, it was really good stuff. Definitely check it out if you haven't already.
yes, so I think that would be really, really, really lit. So yeah, that would be dope. That would be really
Mm-hmm.
dope.
Yeah.
Looking
So
forward
how
to
has
that.
your weekend been though? Like, aside from that, how has your weekend been?
It has still been hella busy.
I know
Dealing
the
with my
feeling.
son,
hmm
and all the stuff going on around YouTube has been very interesting. So that has been crazy. We got a chance to see the manosphere do the Black manosphere, I think, do an official
Meet
meetup,
up. hmm
and that was a sight to behold.
I can't wait to hear from the folks who were there because I need to hear the tea. I want to know how it was, like if they enjoyed it, if they have any recommendations for the next meetup, like all the things. Because, yeah, it's good to see Black men actually coming together and being able to, break bread with one another and actually meet some of the people that they've likely been engaging with in this space for years. So, that's a good thing.
Yeah, a couple little things are coming out around, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I thought was interesting. Like I
Mm-hmm.
thought, the stuff, because it's like you're supposed to look a certain way if you talk shit. Um you're supposed to look a certain way, you're supposed to be fit, you're supposed to be sexy, you should
Mm-hmm.
be that guy. And a lot of people are saying, these are the men talking about black women, but look at what the manosphere is representative of. And, I actually want to get off into some of that when our guest arrives. So I think it's going to be really interesting. From what I've heard so far, it did seem like a successful event. They met
Okay,
up
oh,
at the
that's good.
Westin in Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
and they had the conference room, and you saw men in suits. I saw, I think Obsidian. Well, I know Obsidian was there, and he did some
Mm-hmm.
speaking. There was a couple people. Minister Jap was there.
I
Um,
actually think it's a good thing. Like, I mean, I don't know how it went, and just from the outside looking in, I think for them to like kind of like that's the that is something a way in which like they can actually build in person. In
right,
addition, this space is something created by black men. Why not expand beyond that? And you never know what kind of connections can be formed. In addition, like people have online personas. Like there might be someone that you like, I really ain't feeling this guy. And then when you meet them in person, they're completely different and y'all really hit it off. And you never know what connections can be made. So I think it's a good thing.
yeah, I think it's a good thing as well. I just thought it was very, very interesting. And I think it's a good thing too,
Blaze the
because
stampede. I was expecting somebody to get. You know what? I'm sorry. Go ahead,
I
Danny. My
mean, I think
apologies.
if certain people had have made it, never mind. But um,
Lord.
so
People coming in there with their bulletproof vests.
there is footage.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
There's footage all over the space about it. I was expecting the bigger content creators to actually post it on their own channels, but I
Mm-hmm.
found that they didn't. I didn't see Bernard post anything. He was there. I didn't see Obsidian post anything. He was also there.
Maybe on their Patreons or something. I don't know.
Well, to even talk about it, and I
Yeah.
just was like, y'all should
Now
have.
that's the thing. There should be a lot of promotion of it. In addition, if it's going to be an event where you're going to have speakers and like they're doing like convention style or conference style event where you're building and there's a cost to attend, you should market it more because the more you market it, the more people will know about it and you have more people in attendance.
That is absolutely positively correct. But even to celebrate and to come together to celebrate the men, I thought that would have been something good.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I was just like, why hasn't that event been promoted? And especially by the bigger content creators. But
Yeah.
you know, people are very funny about those things. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, don't tell nobody I was there just in case this shit
Yeah,
goes to
what's up with
haywire.
that? That and like it's like people like you have a secret online life and presence. Like you don't want people to see who you truly are and be able to put a name with a face. And like there are some people in the space that just act like they, are um for whatever reason, like they part of the CIA or something.
Well, I take that back. I did see that Minister Jap did post a little
Okay.
something. But yeah, I felt like it should have been grand promotion of the event and how everybody was there. I did see some footage of the video, and it looked, like I said, it looked like they had a really, really good turnout.
Okay.
So that was, I was like, okay, that y'all are making it. That sounds that's a good start. For black men to be able to get together, especially being total strangers, especially being within this space. Yeah, it was a really good look. Hopefully nothing bad happens after the fact. History has shown us that a lot of
Mm,
people can't get together per se, and it turned out to be,
mm.
it doesn't end up on bad terms, or people dissing each other after the fact and talking shit about each other. You don't, well, I'm not even going to add that energy into it, but good job. If y'all were able to get together and build camaraderie amongst each other, that's always great to see amongst black
Hmm.
men. So, kudos to you fellas. Great job. Great job.
Right.
So, yeah, no
I
hate over here.
agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What else
Um,
is going on,
well,
Nay?
there's a couple different things. I have something that's just very small and quick that I wanted to get your thoughts on. I saw this whole debate all online about little boys' Christmas gifts and whether or not it's okay to buy them a kitchen set. And I want to know your thoughts.
Um, I don't think. Okay, let me say this. Let me say this. I don't think buying a little boy a Christmas set will turn him gay.
Hmm.
However, it wouldn't be anything that I would do with my own son. I would have never bought my own son a kitchen set as a Christmas gift
Mm,
because I do believe in pronounced gender roles.
hmm.
And I don't make any apologies about believing in pronounced gender roles. Now, you'll have a lot
So
of
even
people
if he
tell
was
you,
interested in cooking,
if
Mama,
he was
I
interested in cooking,
would.
if he was interested in cooking, I would actually have him in the kitchen and, showing him some things.
Okay.
But it's not like he's going to be like, kitchens are known as girl sets. Like if he chose to play with it while he was at daycare,
Hmm.
good on you. Cool, whatever. But it's not going to be in my house and it's not going to be like the whole yeah, mom, I want to be I want to, like I said, I actually believe in pronouncing roles. It's not to me. No, no, not for me.
Mm,
Yeah, it would just be one of those things. Nah, And if he had a sister and she had one, I mean that's a different story.
yeah.
But it wouldn't be a thing that I would actually buy for my son. I want my son to be as masculine as possible,
Hmm.
and I would want my daughter to be as feminine as possible. And I'm not saying that they couldn't do one thing or be one. And like I said, I believe in pronounced gender roles. It gets to be a catchy, not a catchy, a touchy thing to
Hmm.
explain. And, people get really, really, really offended by whatever.
Hmm.
GA boy, you said something very interesting. You said little boy's supposed to be outside, not playing with no effing kitchen set.
Hmm.
You know, people made the argument like, well, they be at daycare and they're playing with kitchen sets and stuff. And like I said,
Hmm.
it would be a difference, but I would want my son to be as masculine as possible, and I'm not trying to. Yeah, like I said, I also believe in gender roles to a certain degree too, and not to say that men
Well,
can't get in the kitchen and cook, but a kitchen set represents girlish things, and they've been associated with little girls for what we know.
um, I found the discussion. At first, I'm like, this is so silly. Why are people talking about this? And I still feel like it's silly. But I'm seeing people using the um fact that a lot of men are against their sons having a kitchen set to kind of pinpoint or attach that, attribute that as a trait that is related to toxic masculinity. They're saying that this is how you create little boys who have, grow up to be men who have toxic masculinity, or traits that would be attributed to toxic masculinity, because you don't want them to learn how to cook, or you're stifling them. This is why we have grown men who, don't know how to take care of a home. And, so I'm seeing women kind of spin the argument to fit a narrative that they've long been pushing. Personally, for me, I don't know. I probably wouldn't mind if my son. Now, my fiance, he minds, but if I had a son and he were interested in cooking or something like that, and he's, always in the kitchen in my pots and pans, I probably wouldn't mind. I would probably try to get him, a kitchen that looks definitely nothing with pink or anything like that, but like a little fake stainless steel kitchen. I wouldn't mind necessarily, but I would understand the position that my fiance would have if we had children, and he wouldn't be for that. So maybe the compromise is getting him a little toy grill. They have grills for little boys, like, and he could pull it out, pull it next to
Yeah.
daddy grill when so I don't have a hard stance on it. It's not something that I would be bothered by as it relates to my son if it was something he was interested in. And I am a traditionalist, so I do believe in gender roles. But I also believe in allowing kids to the freedom to, enjoy their childhood and, without impressing upon them my worldview, especially when they're so young that they don't even understand what, genders are. But I do understand that you kind of create that's when those norms are formed. That's when you're teaching your child without teaching them. You're teaching them by showing them what boys do and men do and what girls and women do. So I understand your reasoning.
You know what? It's interesting how people talk about toxic masculinity, and I was like, when you said that, that kind of triggered something in me.
Mm-hmm.
Women in one breath will talk about men being misogynist, men being toxic masculinity with masculinist, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
And then you notice that those are the guys that attract the most women. The more masculine a man appears, the more women he attracts. And they
Mm-hmm.
say one thing in one breath, but they telling you to give your son a kitchen set, but they looking at they'll bypass your son with the kitchen set and wouldn't be studying your son. They wouldn't think about your damn son with him
Yeah.
in the kitchen because they would think of some shit as feminine to
Yep.
bypass him for the guy
That's true. The
the
man who out, get doing physical things, you're right.
yeah, and like I said, it becomes different as you get older. A man being, and most chefs are men. Most
Mm-hmm.
professional chefs are men.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but to start off,
Mm-hmm.
I would want certain roles to be extra, extra, extra defined. And like I said, I don't have an issue with the roles being defined.
Yeah.
The problem is when you're trying to introduce certain aspects, it's like you want to make your son more feminine. You want to
And
make him,
that's the thing. And that was what my fiance was touching on, because he said, like, really like he's a better cook than I am. Most men that I know that have a love of cooking cook better than women. Like my
yeah,
oldest brother, there's no woman that can touch his ability to cook, and he's uber masculine, just like my fiance. But he said, as black people, we have to understand that there's already an agenda to effeminize the black male. So we have to work
exactly.
overtime to ensure that our young sons and young kings know what it is to be a strong black man. And as a result, he would not be for, purchasing a kitchen set for his son.
Yeah. Shout out to sweet Lulu Bean. She says, is it difficult raising a black boy in this modern day and age? How
Mm.
do you ensure a masculine influence? Well, it is definitely difficult. Now, I will say at this point right now, my son is great. Like my son doesn't really give us any issues, outside of like normal kid shit. They get
Hmm.
smart at the mouth. They may not do their
Yeah.
chores on time,
Kids.
stuff like
Kids
that.
being
But
kids.
right, my son doesn't give us a lot of issues, but I ensure a masculine influence by keeping him around masculine men.
Hmm.
His dad is masculine. Curlin is very masculine. He has a grandfather. He has uncles. And so when he was in the house with me, I'm not going to say that he took on all of my traits or anything, but you do notice that there's a difference in how men do things versus how women do things. With
Hmm.
me and him, as a single mother, you end up damn near like as much as people tell you to parent and you're not your child's friend. Well, when you're a single mother and it's just you and your child, there are going to be some things crossed, or things not handled a proper way, all the time. When he's on punishment, you're on punishment. When everything is basically up to the mom. The mother is, women can be very emotional. Women are softer. We tend to be softer with our boys. And I'm no different than that. So, yeah, I would say you'll start to miss the mark on certain things because I don't think women can totally raise a fully masculine man. I just, that's my opinion. So I do think boys need masculine influence. Shout out to Black Wizard. He says, just because you buy a boy a kitchen set doesn't mean he's going to use it that way. I wonder if these people wanting to buy boys easy bake ovens would have a problem if he uses that little microwave as a pretend bomb. Yikes. Um,
You
I'm
know
not
the
going to say
interesting
that he would use it that way. It's just the fact that we all know what a kitchen set represents for most people. We know what that represents. And generally, like, okay, even if my son turned out to be something else, it's not going to be that he didn't have any masculine influence. I'm not looking to turn him into something that he's not. And it's many times where boys like if a boy is living in the house with you and he happens to try on your shoes or some shit like that. Kids try on parents' shoes. They're kids, and it's up to the parents to, hey, no, that's not your shoes, that's not the type of shoes you wear. You can influence those types of decisions and make it clear, or however you do it, what's supposed to be what in your eyes, because we raise children how we see the world and how we want to see the world. And so, that becomes like some individual stuff. So, it's like when you talk about these things, it gets to be very, very touchy because everybody raises their kids different. Everybody has, their own style of doing things. And that would be our
yeah.
style. Like, I wouldn't want my son walking around in my high heel shoes
Mhm.
because I want my son to be what he's supposed to. I'm not, child, let me get out of there because,
Yeah,
yeah.
because it is a touchy subject, and really the reason that it's touchy to me more than anything is that everybody's so liberal, and you can't say anything that will possibly offend someone, and like
Right.
I don't like that because I feel like I want to be able to have natural, organic conversations. Now I know in this space that we're on a white-owned platform, and we kind of have to be mindful of that. So I understand that, but I hate the direction that society is going in, that you can't be honest because it's shaming, or you might offend, and no matter how tactful you are, it's just certain things that you're not permitted to say, which prevents us from having just those honest and raw, real conversations. But I do think that as because I was questioning, like, okay, well, for some reason when people don't get as bothered by little girls, like if they're playing with trucks or guns and things of that nature, as they do with little boys playing with toys that would traditionally be seen as girl toys. But I understand why, because there is an agenda on there is an agenda relating to
Absolutely.
black men, and
Absolutely.
black women aren't black girls aren't impacted by that. So I get it. I understand why.
Yeah. Yeah.
CJ, we did send you. I know I sent you the wrong um, link initially, but I did send you the proper link so you can join us whenever you're ready. Go ahead, Danny.
Yeah, that was pretty much it's funny that you brought that up. Oh, did you see that Common and Tiffany Haddish broke up? Quote unquote.
Yeah, I saw that.
I laughed and
I
laughed.
saw it. I never really put too much stock into their quote unquote relationship.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that they said that they broke up and he broke up with her right before her birthday. And
Mhm.
then he sent her a very, very thoughtful message and was like, oh my gosh, happy birthday, beautiful, best wishes, da 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 da
Yeah, I
da. And
saw
I'm
that.
like,
Hmm.
Oh no, CJ was on the wrong link the whole time.
Yeah, I
Sorry,
sent the
CJ.
right link pretty much right after that. I think that was the link to like your show last night or something, or your
Oops.
premiere.
Oh,
But
goodness,
yeah,
girl. I'm sorry.
no, it's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely join us, CJ. But I never really bought into it. I don't know. They seemed like an unlikely couple to me.
Unlikely, unreal. Well, I'm not even going to say unrealistic, but it was interesting because I'm not going to say that he wouldn't be attracted to her type. It just seemed like he never liked her, or they never seemed like they had ever did the nasty. When I looked at the body language, I was like, that body language is all the
You're
way
right.
off.
They lacked chemistry. They lacked chemistry. It was, and it was so apparent.
Yeah. Well, our special guest is here. Good
Welcome,
morning,
welcome.
CJ. Let me read the super chat first and I'm gonna let you get right on in. Shout out to Black Wizard. He says, I say that to say they complain about impressing a harmful worldview on a kid, but say little Timmy uses that toy kitchen knife as a sword from his favorite hero. Would they let the boy play or impress on him their views?
You know, the interesting thing about that, thank you, Black Wizard. The interesting thing about that is I feel like as Black people that we are more cognizant of everything, every single thing in life. And even down to the toys our children play with. Like I remember growing up, like this was crazy, but growing up, like my mom, my aunts, like they wouldn't buy my brothers and cousins guns. Like they couldn't play with toy guns.
Mm-hmm.
Not because they didn't want them to be violent, but like look at what happened with Tamir Rice. Granted, that was a BB gun, but they know that there is a um there's already they feel like they're setting their child up to for something harmful to happen to them, like at the hands of the police, by like even buying their kids toy guns. And then as it relates to the whole discussion on little boys and their ability to play with kitchen sets, like I don't think that white people have I don't think that they have these discussions. I'm sure that there are some white men that don't want their children playing with kitchen sets, but I think that most white homes, the white people today generally are more liberal. They're like, oh, if he wants to wear, a skirt to school today, who cares? Like they have more of the like free range raising, which I'm seeing a lot more Black people leaning towards nowadays. They're more into, the free range parenting style, letting the child decide what they want and what's best for them. Whereas more Black people, they ain't, Black folks ain't with that.
Okay, well, we got cjnbm up in here. CJ, give us an introduction
Yes.
and tell us a little bit of what's going on.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. I appreciate you for having me. Basically, mid 30s from the DMV area. Really quickly, actually, became familiar with the space like a long time ago, like through like O'Shea's beef with Cynthia G. And I kind of like got into the creator space probably like a year ago due to like relationship issues. I kind of got like I had my little red pill rage moment, but
Mm-hmm.
as things have worked out, I'm like starting to see things, a little more, the picture a little bit more full. So that's where we are today.
Okay.
Well, yeah, thank you for your the introduction, and thank you also because we're learning about you just through the introduction. When you talk about the fact that you have, yourself gone through like a red pill rage stage, which I think makes it all the more relatable as it relates to you being in the space and you being able to talk from a position of you being there as in you having endured like a red pill rage stage. So that's going to be interesting.
Can you tell us a little bit about what made you have your red pill rage? Like, how did that go?
Well, basically, my relationship, I've been with the same woman for about like 10 years now, met in college. And throughout the years, we had a lot of different issues. A lot of it was like just on me. A lot of it wasn't, but and so throughout the issues and the ups and downs, that's what led to me being angry and like, yeah, that's because it's like what happens. I think what happens with a lot of guys is right when you're having like issues, all of a sudden you hear these modern women are they're out of control. And you go, yeah, that's right, they're out of control, and it kind of leads you like down a rabbit hole.
Yeah. Um,
In what
CJ?
ways do you feel? Oh, okay, sorry, Concrete.
No, I was just going to ask one really quick question. Um, I know, well, I found your content to be very interesting, and I think that you have interesting perspectives, which we'll get off into later on in the conversation. But just very quickly, I want to know your significant other, is she a Black woman, or do you have experience dating Black women?
Oh yeah, I've only dated black women.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, because like I grew up in a black, well, mostly black suburb, but my elementary school, middle school, high school, and college were all like 80, 90% black. So yeah, I don't have anything against non-black women, but I wouldn't like seriously date anything else just because I don't want to deal with the complications.
Okay. Well, you mentioned that you were seeing things that was talking about modern women being out of control. Will you give us your example of what an out of control woman would be?
Well, yeah, I actually see it more often than I like to, but I mean, it is what it is. I just see like a lot of women today are just combative for no real reason. Just like gotta say something, gotta respond, gotta have the last word, gotta tell you about yourself. It's like that's like one of the main things I'm seeing. Like the way women talk to men these days is kind of like women talk to men like they can whip their ass. Basically, is what's going on right now.
Mm,
So that's like the main thing. It's just that, and then like I'm also seeing like reproduction is not a big deal anymore. It's just like, well, if I have a baby, I have a baby. If I'm, maybe we stay together, maybe we don't. I'll go get somebody else, or whatever. It's like most of the time I see somebody on social media posting like a baby shower. It's never any like rings involved, and then if you bring up marriage, it's like, well, no, we're not ready for all that. And like full disclosure,
mm-hmm.
I'm not married when I had my kids. We're working towards that, but it's like some people like when they have the kids, they realize like, oh, I'm out of order. I need to get in order. But more so now, it's just like, nope, whatever I want, whichever way I want to do it, it is what it is.
Okay, I know that you talked. Thank you, CJ, for answering that question. But I know that you talked about, the fact that you went through a red pill rage stage. But if I'm not mistaken, I think that you're now back partnered with the woman that you initially went through the red pill rage stage over. Is that correct? Before I ask my question.
Yes, definitely. We going I know a lot of guys gonna be mad when they hear this, but we gonna be getting married at some point. So
So, do you consider yourself to be red pill or blue pill? Like, how would you classify yourself, as it relates to the pills? And being that you've been in this space so long, I'm assuming that you have some knowledge of what each pill stands for or means.
yeah, it's tricky, because like some people would say I'm purple pilled, and other people say, oh, you trying to get married, or you blue pill. I think like I'm fully aware of the marriage laws and modern women, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm aware of the reality. I just
Are
have
you
a
gonna do?
different.
Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, I just have a different perspective on what reality means. Like some guys say, well, since women are acting this way, that means that you have to do this. I say no, women act a certain way, but at the same time, you being a man, you can, supersede a lot of different things. A lot of guys don't agree with that though. So
So, would you? Okay, this woman was acting a fool with you, quote unquote, and it may have been you, and you still said, "Hey, we have kids. Let's go ahead and get married."
oh no, well, We had a lot of issues due to me and to her, but after a while, we how do I put it? We basically broke down a lot of barriers to communication and really figured out how to understand and deal with each other at a certain point. Because what happens is, because we realized the importance of family, even though we had a whole lot of issues, we found a way just not to break up. And then eventually we said,
Mm.
well, we don't want to just stay together to stay together. So we figured out how to, overcome a lot of hurdles. And really the main issue was like communication for the most part. Well, communication, maturity, and vision for the future, honestly.
You talked about how you might be classified by men, but I wanted to know, do you believe that a person who is red pill can also believe in marriage or subscribe to, married life too?
I do, because I understand the reality of the marriage laws. I also believe that, well, some guys will say I'm naive, but I believe that, and this is what a lot of guys in this space, no matter how many times I say it, they just won't hear it. But
Mm.
believe it or not, guys, there are women out there who would prefer to be with you versus be by herself. Like, a lot of guys don't understand that. So yes, the marriage laws are set up to where she can leave and take this and that, but there are women out there who would rather be with you than be by themselves and have half of your stuff. I know
Uh,
they don't want to hear it, but it's true.
And the reason that I asked that question is because, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but if I'm not mistaken, I know Angry Man, as a founder of this space, is red pill, and he is engaged. I've heard him say multiple times that he's engaged if he's not already married. So with that in mind, I would assume that one can be red pill and still married too, as long as he is leading his home, and his wife is, submitting or yielding to him and respects his leadership. So I'm assuming that can happen. And that was the reason that I just kind of wanted to get a little bit more clarity on your response to how you're viewed by other people versus how you view yourself. And if you personally think that you can be red pill and enter into a marriage.
Yeah, it's funny because if you really look at it, a lot of the biggest names in the space are either married or in serious relationships. It's just like, and I hate to say it,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of times it's like the smaller guys are the guys in the chat room, like, don't get married. Like, the guy you listening to has a living girlfriend. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Very, very interesting. I think that's very interesting. Curlin and I had a really interesting discussion about all of that yesterday. So I agree with a lot of what you said. Shout out to Men of Tomorrow. He says, Bravo, Alpha, November Pill. Thank you so much for the super chat. Y'all hell.
Thank
Y'all
you.
hell. So let's get off into some of these questions that I have. The topic for today is: do all black women have to pay for your poor mating choices? And my first question is: men are saying that they don't really have a whole lot of options. I've heard a lot of men say that the pool of women is corrupted. Like, they saying the pool got pee in it. And a lot of men are saying that they would rather not
Girl,
deal.
pee, feces, pee and feces.
Oh man,
And would you jump into if you knew somebody peed in the pool, would you jump into it? That's what, I hear a lot of men say.
man, I don't necessarily subscribe to that. I mean, are there a lot of out of control women out here? Most certainly, but there's also a decent amount of good women out here. I honestly, what I think it is I think a lot of guys, they like a certain type of woman, and those women are out of control. A lot of guys like out of control women. They want to
Mm.
get a they want to get an out of control woman and then tame her. I said this
Mm.
I said this the other day. Like guys try to turn hoes into housewives and they don't even like housewives.
Ooh, that's a good point. Listen,
I
that's
think
a very good point.
that's a very very interesting point. Um, so in that aspect, when guys actually like hoes, they actually like unruly women, and then complain about the same unruly women. How does that play out?
What happens is because we got to be real. Like there's millions of black men. Yes, there are black men who like conservative, sweet, caring, nurturing, for lack of better terms, boring women, right? But we're not going to act like all black men like that. There are black men out there who they like the fun, out there, free spirit, maybe got a decent amount of partners. Some guys like women like that. But what happens is, what's going on is guys are worried about how they would look to other guys. Like you
Mm.
saw this with like Rick Ross and Lyra Galore. He proposed to her. He was going to marry her. He liked her. He
Yep.
loved her.
Yes.
But he was going to look a certain way for wifing her, so he called it off. But that's who he wanted to marry. You
But
see
the
that?
thing is that we see that all the time. Like Rick Ross and Lyra Galore. Keisha K.O. was getting around when she was, between her and Gucci Mane, after she broke up with him. Even if you look at like Brittany Renner and a PJ situation, which is like, why if you knowingly date Brittany Renner, are all black women, should all black women have to pay for that? Or do all black women owe some sort of debt because you chose somebody who was a poor character and she dogged you out?
And it's funny. I actually did a video on that because, in my opinion, PJ was just tripping. Because what happened? What happened? This is what a lot of guys do. You meet a girl and she's a free spirit, and you like it, and she's exciting and she's freaky, and oh man, all the guys want her, and all the guys are on her, and she's so much fun and spontaneous, and you like her, and the next thing you know, you fall in love with her, and then after that, you're like, well, I know I fell in love with you being this way, but now I want you to be this complete other way because of how it's going to look. I know I like you the way you are, but because of how it's going to look, I want you to be different. That's what a lot of guys do. That's what PJ did. It's like I met you with all these pictures and you're naked and all
Mm-hmm.
this kind of stuff, but people kind of looking at me funny. So now I want you to take the pictures down, even though that's why I like you.
Mm.
Although I feel like, she manipulated him, and
Mm.
I will
Here we
always feel
go.
like that. But no, I do still think, despite the fact that she manipulated him, I think that he willingly entered into this relationship. And literally, I foresee a lifetime of problems with this woman. Like, this is a man who entered into a relationship with someone who was, a known thought, had a book published and everything, and like to this day, just yesterday, they beefing on the internet, about him
Right.
not being able to see his son, her threatening to post screenshots. I think that he signed up for a lifetime of this type of nonsense.
Well, I do want to interject this because we've been hearing the campaign that women know what's going on and they don't care. I would also say that men know what's going on and they don't care. And I find it interesting because it's like other men want other men to care about what they have going on in their personal lives, but the men in those situations don't tend to care what anybody thinks, which makes them not be a victim, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on that? I was about to call you PJ. I'm so sorry,
Oh
CJ.
no. Insults.
No, no, no. I saw somebody put PJ's name. Sorry. What are your thoughts on that?
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a lot of that going on. Like even with the whole they don't care. I'm like, who is they? Like
Women. They're saying
it's
women don't care what is going on as long as their needs are met right then and there. women don't really give a damn about what's going on. Women don't really look to the future and have a whole lot of foresight. Not the same way that men do. Now, I'm not saying that's all women, but a lot of women that men are calling hoes don't give a fuck about being hoes. They do whatever it is that they do, and they enjoy
But a
short
lot of
term.
guys, yeah, a lot of guys need to be real. They stop saying they and say the name of that one woman that you're really talking about. Brittany, Jasmine,
I
Ashley.
agree.
Like you're
Hmm.
mad at that girl. You talking about they. You because what happens is you dealt with that one woman, you was in love, it didn't work out, and you've a lot of you guys have kind of like sworn off women since then. So how you experts on women when you don't deal with women anymore? This doesn't
Well,
You
make
know,
sense.
let me say this
uh,
real quick, just real
mhm.
quick. I wouldn't go as far as to say that okay, one man dealt with one woman and some bullshit happened. It's a multitude of men that have the same story about women in general. And when they have the same story about women in general, I'm not going to say that all those men are like losers or they don't know how to deal with women, this, that, and the third,
Mhm.
which is why you have a certain aspect of red pill, which is, exposes the true nature of women. What's your
But
response
if
to
that's
that?
the case, though, Danny, just really quickly, like there are women who have tons of the same story. Like you still dated, and I've seen women who were horrible women in relationships with one man and then got with another man and they were good mates for whatever reason, whether it's their own personal growth and development, whether it was just that these two were causing each other some sort of pain and strife. But in that case, we could make the same argument that there are tons of women all over the world who have the same story about being cheated on and their man staying out late or whatever narrative someone wants to push. But I do think you bring about a good point that as it relates to CJ's comment, that this is a story that millions of men have when they're talking about their relationship woes with women. I'm
I would
sorry,
say,
CJ.
Go
I
ahead, CJ.
mean, I would say that here's the thing. Everybody, male and well, not everybody, but most people, male and female, are going to have bad experiences with the opposite sex. I've had bad experiences. I've been used and played. Man, I don't, I done had experiences where I just look like a damn fool for a woman. But the thing is, at some point, you have to recognize that hey, we all going to take an L, and you have to realize that look, not everybody is going to be as into you as you're into them. Like one thing I would say to a lot of guys is this: it's like, look, just like a woman or women have done you wrong, there have been girls or women that you've come across to where she wanted to be your girl. She wanted to be your lady. And you wasn't looking for that from her. You just wanted to, what I'm saying, get it in and keep it moving. So what would she have to say about men based off of her experience with you? She would be saying, "Oh, these niggas ain't this and that," when really it's just no. She liked you, you didn't like her back, and so she should just move on. It's the same thing with a lot of guys. It's like a lot of times that particular woman that you're going after, she just wasn't into you as much as you was into her, and that happens to pretty much everybody at least once.
Well, would you say that it's most men who have had that experience that you just illustrated?
I would say, in my personal opinion, most negative experiences that men have with women are for two reasons. Either, usually what happens is it's like because of how good the woman looks, he doesn't care about how her character or how she treats him or how into him she is. And then ultimately that's going to lead to your demise. Or the woman was into you, but you just kind of messed it up somehow. That's usually what
Uh,
happens. Either you're into her more than she's into you, or y'all got a good thing going on and you kind of fucked it up. One of the two things usually is what happens.
Mm.
Um, thank you, CJ, for answering that question. But I guess my whole issue is with men who have had negative experiences with someone that they dated. Like you said, most men and women have had some negative experiences in dating. And generally, as Black people, we date each other. So it's highly likely that your negative dating experiences were with someone of the same hue or someone else that was also melanated. So with that being said, like I said, even myself, I've had negative dating experiences. I've had dating experiences that left me in emotional, like I won't say emotionally scarred, but left me definitely emotional, in need of healing. And but I never once attributed those negative experiences to all Black men. I didn't take on the attitude that all Black men cheat because this person cheated on me, or all Black men are likely to break my heart because this person broke my heart. So my issue is that when men have had these negative experiences, they're expecting all Black men to pay for them. Like they want to put all Black women to pay for them. They want to put every Black woman that they come across through the ringer. They want her to have to prove themselves. They have this very skeptical mindset that yeah, right. Everything a woman's saying, she must be lying. She gaming. She's out to get you. And to me, when a person does that, it's because they don't trust themselves to make good decisions. They don't trust their own ability to vet. So as a result, they're scared that anybody could hurt them. So everybody is, they're side eyeing them. Everybody is, you're giving them the 10th degree. They don't trust you. They're questioning everything you say. They have just this strong mistrust for anyone that is any Black woman, because a Black woman hurt them or held hands with their best friend in first grade when she was supposed to be their girlfriend. But I want to know what thoughts you have on that, because in listening to a lot of your streams, I've heard you elaborate on things that are somewhat related to just the commentary that I just gave.
Give me just a second. I want to read these super chats so we don't lose them. Shout out to Eugene Steele. He says, the truth is these genetically modified females are making it hard for the real women to get picked by men. I know there are good Black women out there. Thank you so much, Eugene. That is absolutely true. I think that's absolutely true. I don't think good Black women do enough to separate themselves half the time, but that's another story. We'll talk about that too. Shout out to
Definitely
Dane
want to chime in on that, because
C.
that's a good one, Danny.
Yeah. Shout out to Dane C. He says men tend to getting getting it
Get
with
it in.
getting in with white men aren't their type.
Yep,
That's
tend to get it in
interesting.
with white men, aren't they? Yeah, can you clarify that? Because I'm not sure what you were trying to articulate there, Dane. But I think that that's an interesting point that we could definitely talk about next, Danny, regarding whether or not
Black
good
women
women,
do enough to
do enough
separate
to separate
themselves.
themselves. That's a good one. But CJ, really quick before you answer, I see people in the chat saying that a man who is, a skeptic and leery and putting you through the ringer is vetting. That is not damn vetting. That's a sign of you having unhealed trauma that you need to heal before you get into dating. Like, no woman worth her salt is going to go through you putting her through the ringer because you have trust issues because of your poor dating choices in the past. That means you're unhealed. You need to focus on healing before you start dating. I'm not saying not to vet. Yes, vet. But vetting does not require you putting somebody else through the ringer, having a strong mistrust, not believing her when she says, she's going to the store, thinking she's always gaming and up and out to get you and trying to get in your pockets. That's not vetting. That's a sign of a damaged person. Go ahead, CJ. Sorry.
Yeah, I think a problem that we have with Black men right now is a lot of us, we don't know, we can't tell when a woman likes us. Like outside of a woman like giving us sex, a lot of us, we don't know, like, oh, she's feeling on me. She got a crush on me. She like me. Like a lot, it's hard for a lot of us to tell that right now for a lot of different reasons. A lot of it is like, fatherlessness is a part of the problem, so you don't really get that game from pops or your uncles and them and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of guys, unless a woman, there's guys out here like unless a woman walked straight up to him and said, "Hey, I like you," he'd be sitting there wondering like, I wonder if she liked me. I mean, yeah, she called me and she texts me and she brings me lunch and stuff, but she could just be being nice. I don't know if she liked me or not. So that's part of the issue. If guys were able to better tell if a woman was interested or not, then a lot of the fear and the issues would subside some.
That's a good point. Maybe it is that they can't tell whether or not a woman is feeling them. But to me, it's almost reminiscent of like the schoolyard. You know what I mean? Like you're being mean to someone that you like, and it's like I have to prove to you that I like you back and or I'm worth it before you're willing to actually step out and take that risk. And I see Kid Clouds in the comment with his toxic masculinity talking about don't listen to me, put them through the ringer. Like, listen, y'all are crazy. That sounds like just y'all talk about bitter women who are bitter because they've had their hearts broken or they're unhealed. Like, that's what that sounds like. The bitter brotherhood. You want to be a member of
The BBB.
Yeah, I don't think it's that
bitter black
complicated.
brotherhood. That's right, Danny.
Go ahead,
It's
CJ.
like
I'm sorry.
it's a small thing you can do. Like you meet a woman, you got her number, y'all talking or whatever. You want to know if she's interested in you or not. Stop texting her or stop calling her. If she don't call you within a day or two, then hey, she's not interested. It'll save
Mm,
you a whole lot of time and trouble. You ain't got
mm.
to go through all these hoops and all that kind of stuff. You get her number on Tuesday, y'all talking Thursday, Friday. Then that next Tuesday, don't call her. See if she call you. See if she say good morning or hey or I'd like to see you. If she don't do that, then she's not interested. You can just move on.
That's interesting because women will also have those same aspects of game, and women play those type of games. Like as a woman who grew up in a certain environment, my mother would tell me that a man, when he invests in you, that's how he knows he likes you. That's how you know he likes you. If he's really willing to invest in you,
Mhm.
if he's taking you out on dates, he's buying you gifts, that's how you know he likes you. Because she was like, men will talk a good game just to have sex with you, but when a man starts to do things for you, going out of his way for you, that's how you know he likes you. Because she said, like, men will talk a good game, but a lot of men talk a good game to get in your draws. And as far as calling and texting, you'll have men to like help pursue you like crazy, only to waste your time. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Yeah,
Facts.
that's what I'm saying. Like on the flip side, like if a woman hits your phone up, then she thought about you because women get approached all the time. They always get DMs. There's always some guy trying to talk to them. So if she calls you, then she was thinking about you. If she don't ever call you, and the only time y'all talk is when you hitting her up, basically y'all talk when she's bored. So you should be able to pick that up, and that way you wouldn't
Mm.
waste so much time.
Well, let me get these super chats out the way. Shout out to Dane C. He says, with women aren't their type.
Oh, he was saying with women, not white men. We said we thought
Okay.
when he said
Okay. Why you
WM,
say
he said
women?
women.
I'm gonna need you to. Shout out to Man of Tomorrow. He said, Dane C. Translation: Black women get with white men. Black women get with white men that aren't their type, but would never settle for the same in black men. Ooh, that was a good one. A shout out to Better Future. He says, we are at the point where every black man and woman has to pay for their
Mm-hmm.
collective
Mm-hmm.
mistakes.
Mm.
He said, the problem is men aren't seeking themselves rather than seeking somebody else to build them into complete. Ooh,
Mm.
ooh,
Okay.
ooh, he
Better
came with a
future. Come on
word.
then.
Better Future didn't come to play
Mm-hmm.
today. Better Future had a word, honey.
Yep.
Shout out to Dane C again. He says, like a fit man getting with an obese woman for sex. And that's the thing that a lot of men are running into. Yeah, but I'm sorry. I wanted you to respond to whatever, CJ.
Who? Oh,
It was
CJ.
it was about the oh you I thought you was going to concrete. Oh.
No, I think she was talking to you. I wanted to chime in on the topic about if good women do enough to separate themselves, which is relative, which relates closely to what we're talking about. So I think that that's a good question to discuss.
Yeah, and to that I gotta be honest. I'm with the fellas on this one. I would say no. Like one of the main things that like one of the biggest problems that I'm seeing is like there'll be something that's negative with women that women know is negative, but when men call it out, women who don't even participate in that kind of stuff will jump up to the defense. And it's just like, why are you? I don't know. It seems like there's a camaraderie with women that, like, even though I know she wrong and I know this is wrong and I don't do that kind of stuff myself, I'm going to stand in the gap. So, and that's problematic.
Do you think the same thing happens on both sides?
Honestly, no. If a guy's out here having a bunch of kids or doing this or doing that, we'll say, hey, man, we don't fuck with him. He on his own, you know. And in our personal lives, we'll like stop talking to him, stop hanging out with him. If it's
And what
wrong,
about as it relates to sexual assault?
oh yeah, definitely. That's definitely nah. That's the one. That's the quickest way to get excommunicated, in my opinion. Once we hear you doing kind of stuff like that, oh no, like we those guys get painted off as like that's a weirdo. Like keep that dude away from you. Like don't talk to him. Don't associate with him. Like no, he's done.
I I wanted to ask you, CJ, regarding whether or not good women, do enough to separate themselves. Which, in my opinion, the question I want to ask you is one, I want to answer it first, but do you think that good women do enough to separate themselves? And two, if not, what could good women be doing to separate themselves? Personally, I think, and on one hand, I'm like, why should good women have to go the extra mile to highlight the fact that they're good women? But on the other hand, I do see good women who, in terms of like effery that they see in other women who would not be deemed quote unquote good women, or marriage minded women or relationship minded women, that they don't call out their effery, like that they see it and they almost uphold their effery in a sense to because they care about like the sisterhood camaraderie and having that that sisterhood bond, and you're completely ostracized if you speak out against what the sisterhood is doing. So in that sense, I don't see them separating themselves. But then on one hand, I'm like, not in that sense, because I do think that that's something that women should good. If you're a good woman, you should be calling out effery. But in a sense of like highlighting the fact that they're a good woman, like going above and beyond to make sure that it's always on display and everybody that they encounter realize and recognize that they're a good woman. I don't think that they should have to do anything to highlight that in that sense. But that's just my opinion. Danny, did you want to chime in on it before CJ goes, or you want to let him go first?
I'll let him go first. I'm sorry. Did y'all hear me? I'm sorry. Thought I was on mute.
It sounded like he was typing or something.
Okay. Go
Mm-hmm.
ahead, CJ.
But no, I think they definitely should separate themselves for a couple of reasons. The main reason being is just coming from a man's perspective. If like say for example, it's a group of ratchet, out of control chicks. If you hanging with them, I'm gonna assume that that's the type of stuff that you on too. So even though you might just be like, these are my homegirls, we grew up together. I went to school and I don't do that kind of stuff no more. But these still
Mm-hmm.
my girls. But from a distance, it's like, oh no, that's what those type of girls do. And then on top of that, if you're hanging with a certain crowd and you're not separating yourself, you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna you're gonna attract certain guys looking for a certain thing because
Mm-hmm.
certain type of women attract certain type of men with certain type of intentions. So like the loud, boisterous,
Now
ghetto,
I do
colorful.
think though, yeah. I think
Oh,
women, like as a grown woman, a fully grown woman, I ain't hanging with no ratchets. Like, and I think that women, married women, who are engaged, you have a man that is leading, like he wouldn't even most strong men would not be support you hanging with ratchets. But when I don't hang with ratchets, but I do see conversations where women are upholding effery, and it depends on my mood whether or not, like, I know that once I engage in these conversations and call them out on their effery, like it's gonna be an all day back and forth with these chicks, because it's like you fighting the army, and all of them are upholding the same type of like craziness, foolishness. Like, for example, it may be someone who's talking about, like, I'm in so many different Black women groups, but they talk about things like I saw a comment today about a woman like sleeping with married men, a married man, and she was kind of telling the narrative about her dealings with this married man, and I'm looking like, that's you trifling and low count. But everybody was like, "Girl, yes, I wouldn't care either." So, but I know that when I engage, that it's literally going to be an all day back and forth. So I kind of have to protect my energy at certain times. I'm like, ain't no sense in me even engaging because all of these birds are lost.
You
But
know what?
other times I engage. Go ahead, Danny.
I was gonna say that I think that women, like good women, quote unquote, kind of co-sign a lot of the sisterhood, because they quote unquote went through some of the same things that the sisterhood went through. How people choose to handle it is key. So if you've been played by a guy and you see a woman playing a certain type of guy, or you see a woman playing a guy, a lot of the attitudes, and it comes from an unhealed place, is that, well, they're doing such and such, these men are doing such and such, so it is what it is, and so I'm not going to be mad. But then at the same token, when a man chooses to deal with a certain type of woman and he continues to deal with a certain type of woman, I do believe he is fully responsible for what he chooses to engage. I also put that off on a woman. If you're dealing with a certain type of man and you're making a choice to deal with that certain type of man, that is fully your responsibility. Nobody is here to manage your vagina or his penis. So, I
True.
feel like everybody has to be accountable for those choices. So it's like, if I see something, and there's certain behaviors I'll see, and then I look at the type of men that they're entertaining, and I say, okay, if a man is worth his salt, he ain't gonna be dealing with a certain type anyway. If a woman is worth her salt, she's not going to be dealing with a certain type anyway, especially after she finds out what it is. You get cheated on, of course that shit hurts. I'm not gonna, well, it hurts. But if you continue to stay in a situation and you continue to deal with that, what
True.
can anybody say about that?
Good point.
Shout out to Better Future. He says, our relationship issues will never be solved until the collective come to the realization that they have a greater responsibility to their community, and every decision they make affect us. Better
good
Future,
luck with
that
that.
is a interesting point that you made. But I think
Good
people are
luck with
trying
that.
to, I think people are actually trying to get away from a community minded,
Very true.
they're trying to get away from it being community minded versus individual basis. Being that we're going to more so of an individual basis, it's every man for himself, every man, every woman, save yourself. And that's what the community is looking like. Nobody cares, at least from what I'm seeing. Shout out to Verified Abuela Defender. He says, speak the truth, Abuela. I'm speaking it. Go ahead. Shout out to Verified Abuela Defender again. He says, stay woke, concrete. Concrete all the way up, baby. Tell him you all the way up, concrete.
Oh
CJ,
man.
I do have another question for you. Seeing as though the men are supposed to be responsible for the quote unquote community, do you think it's the man's job to improve a woman, to make the woman better?
Well, here's the thing. First of all, like you just said a second ago, a lot of guys are not buying into the community thing anymore. Anyway, so that's one thing. But then the second point is, I don't think men need to make women better. Men just need to, how do I put it? Men
Walk
just
away.
need to, no, you don't need to walk away. In my opinion, if men are doing what they're supposed to be doing, eventually women will just fall in line.
So,
But it's complicated, right? Because that means when I say doing the right thing, I mean handling business. I mean you can't. That means you can't have sex with the ratchets. You can't have kids with the ratchets. You can't be liking the pictures. I mean, like women that are not on board have to be completely ignored. That's the only way they're going to get it if you don't pay them any mind. So it's going to take a lot of willpower and discipline.
so you're saying, so you are essentially saying walk away to a certain degree, right?
Well, walk away from out of order women.
Yeah, that's walking away.
Not from all black. Well, okay, I guess. I
Yeah,
guess
from out
so.
of order. But if you're saying that the majority, if you're saying that the majority of women have, or I don't know if you're saying that the majority of women are unruly. Do you think that the majority of women are unruly in the black community?
I'd say mm, I'd say it's about 50-50.
Okay. I'm going to read these super chats real quick. Shout out to the RX0. He says, "Greetings ladies and gentlemen on the panel. One thing that bothers me is women saying we're not all like that, but are never willing to demonstrate it. Yet we see more women beginning to defend us. Why, but why now?" The RX0, I would say that when you're going against the sisterhood, you have to realize that the sisterhood is a group of strong bitches. These are
Mm-hmm.
some of the strongest bitches on the face of the planet. I've never seen anything like it.
She
Um,
man.
when you go against the sisterhood and it's not a thing that's ever been done before, it's a hard thing to do, especially if you're doing it by yourself and you don't
Hmm.
feel like you have the backing, or you don't necessarily know if men will come to your defense or if men will turn on you, because we've seen situations where women have gone out of their way to defend black men and we've seen those same men turn on her.
True.
So it gets to be very freaking tricky. But the community, quote unquote, of women defend trying to defend men or being in men's corner, it's increasing. So I think
Yeah.
women feel like they have more
Public
of a,
support. When there's
yeah,
a more public
exactly.
support, you don't mind speaking out publicly. And like you're not necessarily so concerned about being lynched by the sisterhood because there's public support for things that you might believe in too. But I think that you're right, Danny. Women are less apt to speak publicly and speak out loud when like it's a bunch of strong he she's that you gotta come
Baby,
up against.
yeah, you really have to go against some shit. So
Yes.
shout out to American Negro. He says, "I haven't seen a black community since the 90s. Everything else is just the aftermath of what integration provided us."
Mm,
Um,
good
oof.
point.
Oh,
Good
yes.
point, American Negro.
Shout out to Jordan Smith. He says, "When women are young, they say we want the bad because good guys are lame and weak. But these same women yell protect black women, teach us
Stuff.
stuff and protect us men with felonies, have more kids than men
And
who
who
don't."
don't.
I actually got the gist of what you were saying.
Hmm.
When you talk about those bad boys and
There's a
what
reason
that
for
bad,
that.
yeah, I think that if you have somebody that is on their books, on their shit, that man may not have the same amount of time to pursue women. They aren't as charismatic. We know women are attracted to looks and charisma, and money by far, and or certain types of masculinity. We already know. And
Hmm.
so when a guy is a bad boy, I seen a post recently where women were saying, and it was a lot of women who agree with it, that I like a man that will kill the whole room. Like he looks like he'll kill the whole room when he walks in, but he's like dedicated to me. And I was like, women are really, really, really attracted to that type of energy. And it was so many
Right.
women that agreed with that. Like they want a guy that will tear this shit up if you get out of line with her.
That's true. A woman
But
has an inherent innate nature to feel protected. Now, and I understand that. Like I am the same way, but the thing is, like security doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be somebody sagging his pants, with a Glock on his hip. Like, like those silent people, those silent men who coming in, scanning the room without everybody knowing, making sure he's sitting facing towards the door so that, because your protection is his first concern. Those are the type of men you want. And black women, I don't know if they haven't seen it demonstrated enough or they can't recognize it because it's a more quiet strength, but they have no idea that that is what true power is. They're completely confused. They think it's the loud, brash fool with the loudest color, talking the loudest, making threats, and it's not.
you know what, Concrete? I actually think they want to be the person facing the door. Um,
Listen, you know
they,
what?
when April
And he a
Mason
letter too.
April Mason said, women are turning into the men that they want. They want to be that nigga. And forget
Yeah.
about being that bitch, quote unquote. They actually want to be that guy. They want to be that man. They want to have the same type of respect that men get. And yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting thing. I'm gonna read this last super chat, and I'm gonna let CJ back in. Shout out to American Negro again. He says sisterhood equals black women's fear. TMHC hood sisters. Um. Okay.
You know, really quick before CJ, I just want to say one quick thing regarding Better Future's earlier comment. Why is it though that black women are, in this space? It's like black women have a collective representation, but black men don't. The men in this space can easily separate themselves from the Pookies and Ray Rays, and they're not taking a collective approach to resolving issues regarding how their image is portrayed in the media or across the world. But black women, as a good black woman, I have to, take responsibility or be accountable or held accountable for like Brittany Renner and her thottiness. Like,
Mm.
it just seems like completely unfair.
We're going to drop the link in just a few.
Yeah.
Shout out to Better Future again. He says, are we saving ourselves or are we setting up the plantation for the future generation? What will the future generation say about us? We're done.
I agree
The
with
future
that.
generation is going, like, they going to roll. You know how we're sitting here looking at the generation before us. Do y'all feel like we were failed by the generation before us? If you ask me, I would say yes. What do y'all think?
For
Where we
sure.
fit,
For sure.
I would say yes, but I understand that there were systemic things in place that the generation before us had to face and had to fight through, which put them in a position to where, they couldn't necessarily do right by us. But, the interesting thing is you asked that question and like the up and like Gen Z, like if people, are looking at Gen Z and talking about how weak they are and stuff, but like Gen Z to me, I used to even be like, what the hell is wrong with these kids? We coddled them too much. But when I look at it now, I have a different mindset. Like Gen Z, they're like creating their own tickets. Like they are they're the generation with the most entrepreneurs. They're literally like they have this gig economy. They're creating jobs for themselves that no one has ever heard of, getting paid for doing the simplest things. And like to me, that's not the American dream, going to work and working 80 hours a week, working multiple jobs just to be able to pay your mortgage and, have a decent car outside. That's not the American dream. We were sold a pile of crap by thinking that this has to be life, that we got to work until we 65, slave until we 65 before we can actually enjoy the fruits of our labor. Like, I appreciate the fact that this generation is like, hell no, I ain't with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, go ahead,
I
CJ. I'm
feel.
sorry.
Oh, my fault. I think we definitely we. I gotta have a talk with like older black men. I think like 60 plus, because I was thinking about this the other day. These modern women, they have fathers. So I need to talk to these dudes. How did you let your daughters get so out of control? So it's definitely on the older generation, because it's like things are so bad, and so it's like, what were
Mhm.
you doing for things to get like this? It didn't just happen overnight. The generation before us, I don't know what they was doing, but they definitely messed up.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I dropped the link in the chat. So if you guys would
Join
like to come up and, um, discuss the topic, the link is down in the chat. Shout out to Sun is Hot Raw. He says, but if you want to earn back the trust of the men, then you mustn't be afraid to challenge the sisterhood, even without the support of the men, cause this is a dilemma y'all created for yourselves.
Oh.
Then let me ask you a question, Son is Hot Rod, with if y'all do you think it would be the same thing on the opposite side? Because you do have a group of women, black women, are in opposition of their men completely, and a lot of it has to do with trust. And then women will say, well, we see who you guys have entertained, and we look at that as well. So let us
Yeah.
know what y'all think
I want to
in that
respond to
regard.
Sonny's hot rock question too.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that question, when you say that, to be completely honest, for those of us who do stand up and fight against the sisterhood, there's no acknowledgement on the other side. Black men are still just as skeptical of us, but we're still called all out of our name. We're still not shown respect by black men, even though we fight against the sisterhood. And, we consider ourselves to be fairly balanced. Like, we can call out issues on either side, but we've seen women in this space that are like, have a pick me crown, and they do nothing but fight against the sisterhood, and they still get bashed and disrespected. So I don't do it for any kind of personal acknowledgement. And for me, I don't have a fear of fighting against the sisterhood, but I'm a very firm believer in protecting my energy. Like, if I don't protect my energy, like, I'm carrying around whatever I am investing my time and energy into all day long, and it can impact my home. So I'm very particular about what I decide to engage in and when, because I don't want those forces impacting my home and impacting how I operate with my fiance, and my ability to make sure that I'm extending love to him, and being a good partner. But I don't think that there's any kind of there's no real reward in it, I guess, is my point.
It's an interesting point that you made, and I'm going to have to let the panel open up. It's an interesting point that you made, because I'm seeing someone say, okay, because we know you'll flip when the time is right. The whole thing is everything is not going to be monolithic as it pertains to our issues on certain things. We've seen men stick together and we felt like they were wrong on certain things. So I just find that interesting, because men, like, if you see a woman with a pick me crown and all she does is stand up for black women, excuse me, black men, and that's all she does, and then you turn right around and you shit on her like she's never done anything, or she's not shown the respect or appreciation, those things do become a bit discouraging for a woman to speak up out loud, because a lot of women don't want to be attacked. And then when you say we're supposed to be doing, there's a lot of things that should have been happening on both sides, but
Mm-hmm.
what we see is we've seen men fuck over women, and we've seen women fuck over men. There are things that should be happening on both sides, and we don't
That's
feel
true.
like that's always the
And
case.
Lord Zio says, if you're a feminist, if you were a feminist before, you're just hiding it now. I think that that's a crazy concept, because if you believe in that, then you're in a red pill space, and you don't truly believe that people can be converted. You don't truly believe that if you impart men with the wisdom that they need in order for them to become red pill, that they can truly become red pill. You don't believe that change can actually happen, which is absolutely asinine. to
Shout
me.
out to Curlin M. Hey, babe. He says, once folks become adults, you can no longer just tell them what to do as if they were a kid. Influence takes precedence, like respect that is earned. Babe, you
Yeah.
have an excellent point. That is absolutely true.
But
Um,
to Carlin's point too, when we were kids, we were told what to think. So even like women who like are Western women who were told or who are like feminism is pushed on you. So you kind of like you it's ingrained in
Absolutely.
who you are. But as an
Absolutely.
adult, you have limitless knowledge at your fingertips in order to make your own decisions for yourself. And that's what we see even with people walking away from religion. Like you're told that you should be a Christian and go to church and do all these things. But as an adult, I can make my own decisions. I can do my own research and I can make an informed decision.
Okay. Shout out to KD for the super sticker. Thank you so much, KD. And shout out to Dane C. He says the subscriber and video views count of the black women, Danica, Chantel, Simone, etc., that support black men shows that there are strong support from black men. Even with our channel, we actually receive a lot of support from black men.
We do, but we still
A
receive
lot.
critiques too, and we still get
Yeah.
criticized too. But we do, yeah, they receive support. We receive support too, but you still get, criticized, and even within our support, like you see our support. Kid Cloud supports us faithfully, and thank you, brother, for the Cash App. But he's still gonna tell us that that doesn't mean that he is defending us. That doesn't mean because you support in one way, that doesn't mean that you are defending someone and or showing them the utmost respect and ensuring that they're treated honorably. But yes, they do get support, and so do we.
Yes. First, I want to start off with Robbie Blue. Robbie Blue, welcome. What are your thoughts?
Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are. How you guys doing?
Hello, hello, welcome to the
Outstanding.
panel.
How are you?
Yeah, I actually feel like this conversation is very thought-provoking, and I just wanted to start off by saying that I think media and television, newspapers, magazines have always shaped social norms. Have been the catalyst for change, whether it's for better or worse. The difference now is social media is allowing toxic people to project their own negative experiences and their own negative bias and pass it off as norm. So you can have men who are just mad because their girlfriend that broke up with them in the 10th grade for a dude that had more money. You know what I'm saying? He has a hang up and he's projecting it like he hates women or he can't find a woman to accept whatever baggage or psychological issues he has. And since that person can have a YouTube platform, or that person can now build their own little tribe on online, and if they spend enough money, they can project that as that's actually how men think, when the vast majority of people, because we're human beings first, we just want to find somebody who's cooperative, somebody that gets it, that this generation that we're in right now, we're in wartime. I don't think our previous generation failed us as much as they were on the receiving end from the previous struggle. It was a big accomplishment, to have voting rights. It was a big accomplishment to some people to have integration. And I think we gave up some of our independence with this, American idealistic dream of, integration and everything being kumbaya. Crack epidemic, occurred. And then I think the commercialization of hip hop, when it got armed with negative stereotypes and tropes, it used to be, I don't want to scrub. Now it's I got my niece letting the dude take her out in an Uber. Somewhere things change where we at least used to have some consciousness and some standards, but I think we started glorifying thug life. We started glorifying street culture. And I think right now the most harmful thing is we allow them to make us the face of poverty, the de facto face of poverty, when that's not true. And it covers up all of the poverty that is in all these other groups. And when there's hiccups in the economy, they always have us as the scapegoat. There's there is a a wealth gap between black and white and Asian. I get that, but don't think all of them are balling out of control, because whenever this pandemic happened, everybody and their grandma, that was eligible for a stimulus was trying to get some and then some, and it wasn't just black folks. You know what I mean? So it really pains me when I see some of this gender divide that I think is propagated. But I think you guys have a refreshing perspective, and it's actually encouraging.
Outstanding. I
Yeah,
think you
thank you,
brought
thank you,
about
thank
some
you.
really, really good points. Really good
Didn't he?
points.
Absolutely. Sorry, I was like, I can't get my mute button off fast enough.
It's okay.
I was actually typing in the chat, but yeah, you brought about some outstanding points, and thank you for the acknowledgement, as well as I'm
Absolutely.
glad that we could, start a conversation that sparks, some thought provoking, commentary on it. And yeah, thank you for joining, first of all, and also for your comments. Definitely appreciate that, especially your compliment.
Absolutely. A shout out to Sun is Hot Raw. He says, to answer your question, Sister George, the Black Manosphere is the response to Thug, Pookie, and Ray Ray narrative. Brothers have been making a separation without the support of the women, only ourselves. Sun is Hot Raw. It's interesting because the manosphere is comprised of a whole lot of things. If you have pickup artists and you have pimps within the space, then and those pimps and pickup artists have been integrated within the space. I'm not going to say that was a response to the Pookie and Ray Ray narrative. I would say that more guys glorified the Pookie and Ray Rays, period, and wanted to emulate some of that, at least to get some pussy. So I don't know. I'm not going to say that I totally agree with that. So next we'll have Sheed. Sheed, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's kind of funny because like I said, with me being in a relationship in this space, a lot of guys kind of they have a choice of words to how my relationship, my wife is. Pretty much, I don't care, But I'm trying to actually show these other guys that's in the space that you can get married, and not all of them are bad. It just the point of it is who you choose. I mean, when it comes down to it, you going after society standards, and I keep saying this about the women with the bodies and stuff like that, and IG models, because you hear a lot of guys in the space saying women are
Going
choosing
after
wrong.
society standards, and I keep saying it.
You got some echo.
Yeah.
Laurel, your camera's on and you look stressed.
He
So
said
I
this
don't know if you
conversation
want
is stressing him. I hate her. Y'all don't even know. She
to.
gonna tell us man he looks stressed.
Laurel looking like
I
I'm
can't
coming to get
stand
you,
you.
mother.
But
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, nah, but it's like when you say a woman choose wrong, nah, she choosing right. She want that type of dude in her life. So the guys who keep saying women are choosing wrong, them the women you want. You want the ones that's gonna take your money and all that stuff. So stop saying that they choosing
Exactly.
wrong. Like that's what
Preach,
they
brother.
want. They want they want the dudes that they think gonna blow their back out. They want the dudes that's gonna run their credit up because in the end they getting what they want out of the deal. They getting the man that they like by the looks and a little roughneck on the side. But
You
in
know,
the end,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that women will choose a certain type of man and then use plausible deniability to act like they didn't know what was going on. But we know certain things come with certain people. We know what comes with certain territories. And when you're able to say, well, he just sat over there and played me and I didn't even know what he was doing, but he had all these hoes surrounding him. And oh my God,
Hey,
he played me and he ran off with my money and he ruined my credit, but
Please
he
stop.
never answered his phone and he just ignored me like every day, but I still kept giving him pussy because I really liked him. And that's what happens. Sorry, I just had to
Well, one
say.
thing for certain is I know the P
Hey,
word is a go on the platform.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, no, you're good. I mean, because sometimes I could be like, okay, I shouldn't curse, Lord.
Oh.
I've heard several panels sometimes talk about this topic, and I think we have a whole wide range of issues to talk about because of everything that's happened over the last 8 years. But I will say this: I think from a human standpoint, and Robert Greene's book, "The Laws of Human Nature," kind of helped me realize that. A lot of us are not even taught basic psychology just as human beings. And if we think about the unique journey that African Americans and people in the African diaspora have been through, a lot of us really suffer from PTSD. We don't realize that we pick up
Facts.
dysfunction from our parents. You
Hmm.
could be a boy raised by a mother who is narcissistic, that totally wants attention for herself. She has a nasty attitude. So you start being attracted to women that are
Hmm.
that way, that are not cooperative. It's not that black women are that way. It's the black women in your family that were part of your foundation that now, unless you achieve self-value and self-accusation, you're not really trained to recognize how to get the self-help. The church may lead you to the direction, but you kind of need not counseling from a European. You need counseling within yourself. You need to get in your closet and just say, you know what, I need to separate myself from the umbilical cord. What are the good things that my parents taught me? What are the dysfunctional things? Because once we move out of our parents' house, if we get an opportunity to go to college or the military, we start to realize that we were taught a lot of lies. And then this society will purposely give you bad advice for free. They'll give you bad advice about losing weight. They'll
Facts.
give you bad advice about building credit. They'll give you bad advice about, you know, choosing a mate. It used to not be this hard. I mean, grandma used to tell you he ain't gonna pay for the cow if the milk is free. And in the
Mm.
70s, instead of shooting and hating on the next nigga because he's doing good, we knew in our community to level up. Oh, this brother got a Cadillac. He's hustling. He's getting the ladies. He's clocking. That's supposed to make you, as with the way the economy is supposed to work, right? When you're not poor, that is called benign envy. That's supposed to make you want to level up, work harder, you know, barter your time to get more material gain or to position yourself up. The problem is when you have poverty and you have lack, and then you have all that PTSD, then you have malicious envy. So you'd be willing to kill somebody. Or we'll have these world star videos where women are pulling each other's hair out. You know what I'm saying? Totally acting a fool because you're taking out all that anger and aggression. You don't know where it came from. So before I sit here and put it all on Pookie and Ray Ray, like Pookie and Ray Ray wasn't an invention of the CIA, let's not throw our brothers away. Because to be honest, if you look at any group, it's only the 10% of that group that's the warrior class. Do you think it's ironic that there's about 30 million of us, but 10% of our high testosterone warrior class is in prison? Our brothers that
Mm.
could be or at Wall Street or go to Harvard and be entrepreneurs, but they just
Hmm.
happen to go the street route. See, women want to be protected. I think I heard a sister say that earlier. So here we go again. I could understand in some of our neighborhoods or just with racism, white supremacy, everything we're dealing with. She's like, at least I want, for lack of better words, a nigga with nuts. It's just you want them to have brains to go along with it. You get what I'm saying? And
I
that's the
agree.
whole point is so you, because your father wasn't there or because your father didn't love you the way he should have, or you could have been molested or whatever, you're like, man, I want someone to be tough. Then they get rid of all the tough brothers. So now you got women loving each other. They're trying to find anything that's masculine, that's understanding. And then with men, because some of us, our fathers went, we had a whole generation of not having masculine energy there. So some of us are acting like our mothers. We're problem solving like our mothers. We got more love for our homies than we do for our girlfriend, right? We'll be willing to die for the hood before we'll die for our home because we don't have a family. The gang is like a family. Your homeboys are
Mm.
like your family. You're going to cry when they get locked up. You know what I mean? You're willing to shoot up the whole city because that's like your family because we've had broken families. So we need healing in that regard. And I think that instead of pointing the finger and getting to the square root of what it is and the energy exchange, right now they have us in the figure four leg lock because these white supremacists. See, before the issue was we're afraid of us having access to finance and opportunity and progress, right? Now they're in survival mode because of genetic survival. Why do you think they're trying to repeal Roe
Facts.
versus Wade? Because they're like, oh, we
Mm-hmm.
don't need these
Mm-hmm.
white women. See, black women think being sassy with a black man, that's being a strong white black woman. But notice all these strong white women still will find a rich Republican man, you know what I'm saying, to be with.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Don't fall for the okie doke. They're getting back, not into the kitchen, but to having children. They will tell your daughter, you know what, ma'am? I think your daughter has a cyst. We need to do a hysterectomy. Your dumb ass goes ahead and let
Yeah.
them
You are
take her
absolutely
uterus,
right.
and then they will put it in some decrepit white woman so she can put out a baby. We are in genetic warfare, people. This ain't paranoia.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they know they're outnumbered, and what they've done is they've weaponized the title of whiteness so that they can offer it to other groups so that they can work against us. So we really gotta, I think it's gonna take a generation to get past this gender thing. And I think what's gonna do that is, you know how they
Or
say,
two or three.
look, no, you know how they say this? They say what? Number people lie, but numbers don't. We
Mm-hmm.
figured it out on this previous platform. We were looking at the math. We said the medium house of person makes about $43,000
Mm-hmm.
a year, and that came to about $2,500 to $2,300 after taxes. Once we start doing car note, you know what I'm saying, rent, cell phone, everything up, you barely had enough money to get turned up unless you were using some plastic. So why we sit here fronting on Instagram pretending like we don't need each other? I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not making $1
Yeah.
million. I'll
Hey, can I
relink it.
may I say
Hold
something real
on one
quick?
Can I say
second,
something?
Lara. Yeah. Hold on, Nerdine. Really quickly, I just wanted to make sure that she had completed his thought before we move forward, and then Lara will let you in.
Sorry for
Were
being
you done with
long-winded.
your? No, you're good.
Uh,
Very solid points. Thank you.
well, basically, I'm gonna be short, but I'm just gonna say what Sister George was saying earlier about the woman crying and stuff, about the man treating and all like that. She gotta understand when it comes to the women, the dudes already let it be known. I got D and heart and bubble gum, and I'm fresh out of bubble gum, so you're gonna have to take the D and that's it. But going into like the
Actually,
situation.
Go ahead, Laura. Excuse me.
uh,
No, I'm
Chi.
gonna go ahead, Laura. Go ahead. You can
Hey,
finish.
no,
Go ahead.
no, no. That was no. I'll go now. Then
that
check
was
this out.
me.
Oh,
I'm
That was
quite
me. I
sure
was
that.
saying,
Okay, hey, hold
uh,
on, Nerdine. Hold on
Hold
for
on.
a
Yeah,
second.
I got you.
Nerdine.
Hey, look, I'm quite sure that all of us realize, well, should realize that there's no turning back a switch. No generation ever has reverted back to previous generations. It's not gonna happen. I don't know why people invest so much into wanting to like turn back the hands of time because it's impossible for it to happen. Are you gonna teach a Gen Z or Alpha how to revert back to the boomers because they were fucked up, right? So are you going to
Mm-hmm.
revert them back to Gen X? Gen X is fucked up. Millennials are fucked up. So what are they going to go back and look at? So all of that, let's turn back the hands of time talk. That's impossible. It won't happen. So you have to deal with what's going on right now that you can see. So all that talk, I mean, it's like impossible. Actually, the conversation it kind of switched a little bit because the reason why I came up, it was when you were talking about the support of black men, and it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of hard when black men can say, let's say, turn their back on you. Well, the thing is, I mean, black men do show support, right?
Yes, they do.
Okay, so that should be actually enough. I mean, what more can someone ask for? Because I mean, a woman protecting a man, I mean, that's kind of opposite of how things were supposed to be, right?
So if you
So I don't.
want women to go above and beyond, the good women, to ensure that they are separating themselves from women who, and when we say good women, of course good is subjective, but we're talking about like marriage minded, relationship minded women who, have a good solid moral foundation, who ain't out here, twerking and taking their clothes off, like think women with a moral conscience. So if you have women that do fit that mold of quote unquote good women, the 20%, if you want them to go above and beyond to separate themselves from women who don't fit into that category, why wouldn't they also have expectations of men?
Man,
Why,
that
if
comes.
your expectation of them is that they go above and beyond to separate themselves, then I think it's fair for them to also have us to also have some expectations.
Okay, I think that was probably someone else, because one thing about it is that I don't think that any person should ask someone else to go above and beyond, right? And the thing is, now it kind of sounds like, okay, we're here, we'll speak for you, but by the way, we doing this on YouTube, so we need a check for this. So, and you know what? And it's nothing wrong with that, right? But however, I don't think men should actually look for a woman to do something like that. I mean, what's the point? If you want to do it because you see something wrong with society. Do it for that reason. Don't do it because, for any kind of like other reasons other than this is what's on your heart to do. I mean, I understand wanting a paycheck for it. I mean, it's like a whole new wave of like women coming through right now, right? And I noticed it, and I was like, damn, it's this light-skinned chick, right? And I've heard several guys in the space mention it, and it just came through my feed. Never subscribed, never heard of it, right? And she was speaking to women for Black men, and I just had to think to myself, is this just like another hustle, or is this woman, who's an attractive woman, by the way, is she doing this out of the kindness of her heart, or is she talking to the right people and she trying to run a check? So I mean, that's just something I was expecting.
And I'm not saying, when I say it's fair for us to also have expectations of men, I'm not at all talking about monetarily. I'm talking about like, it's difficult as a woman, because I am telling you, as a woman who does speak out and defend Black men, especially outside of this space, primarily because I feel like the conversation is not balanced in this space. I speak out and I defend Black men in this space too, but I'm more apt to have balanced conversations outside of here. Every single social media platform that I have, I am constantly fighting against the sisterhood and in defense of Black men. And when I say it should be okay for us to have expectations too, I'm simply talking about an expectation of like being respected, an expectation of, like there's, we fight for Black men, we defend Black men, but we get shitted on in this very space. You know what I mean? And there are men who support us and who rock with us, and they like family to me. But there are we get a lot of flack in this space too. So that's
mainly from the women.
So Concrete,
no, I'm not talking about from no women.
So Concrete, would you say that you should be lifted up on top of a man's shoulders to say, "Hey, we're supporting our Black men"?
Not lifted up, but respected. When we had just created our platform, we were getting attacked, called all kind of hyenas and everything under the sun for no reason at all whatsoever. Like literally had not done anything to anyone, and like having to constantly be attacked on this front as well as fighting on the other front in defense of Black men. I'm not expecting to be lifted up on anyone's shoulder, just like basic respect and I don't even want you to showcase our shows or anything like that. Just basic respect.
Hey, you know what? But actually, you know what that is? You guys actually went through an initiation. You guys kind of like walked through a lot of fire, right? And you're still here. Now, like I said, it's just being put out. Hey, here's this woman. Listen to it. Check out. But you guys actually kind of got jumped in, so to speak, right? So you've been here. So I mean, respect. I mean, it's been a lot of things come at you guys. But
Laura,
I mean,
you remember when you came up here and you was
I
going
apologize. I apologize.
Okay. She gonna bring it up. Listen, hey, baby, look that one.
Hey, my bad. Okay, all right, my bad. I got it.
Laura was on our ass, y'all.
Listen, I guess in a way it was kind of like a hazing, and I understand. To be completely honest, I understand men being pessimistic. I understand. I know that Paris Milan was in this space prior, and was advocating for. Even Cynthia G, when she first came to YouTube, she was advocating for Black men. So I understand Black men side-eyeing women, Black women when they come in this space, like, oh no, we done been through this a couple times. I get that, but wait and see.
I mean, Sister George was good.
Seattle Seahawks.
She came through. She paid $100 to get on panel, speak in the chat room. But now it's just like
She's
shit.
a true supporter.
If you have a
See?
nice, hey, but
Cynthia
go ahead,
G?
Nerdine. Go ahead.
Wait a minute, Nerdine.
No, I said Danny is a true supporter.
Oh, I
Like,
thought you meant the Seattle Seahawks. I'm about to say, what are you?
Come
What?
on, man.
no, Nerdine, ain't nobody talking about that. I was commenting on what Lero was saying. I enjoy this space. There are some people in this space that's like, I would break bread with, like, seriously. But I have to preserve my peace, baby. Y'all be too. Listen. So, but Danny definitely does. If she, she'll come in and support, and she'll pay them high fees, and making sure that she's supporting in other ways, and constantly showing up and engaging and stuff like that. And shouts out to her for that, because baby, she a stronger woman than me.
So with that being said, you guys should have like a big problem with this new wave coming through.
Why?
You mean like with the chicks coming through?
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know
I
The
what?
don't
ones
worry
that
about
the ones that nobody knows, the ones that go right to the top of the platform. I mean,
I'm gonna tell you just like this. If men have been in this space since this space has started, and they still don't know how to deal with women, to a certain degree, then I am going to say that you are accountable for everything that happens to you beyond that. We had to prove ourselves, and even in trying to prove ourselves, there are still people that will doubt everything that we say. They're still looking at us like very suspicious of us. We're both in relationships. Like
We've been
we done worked.
consistent. Like, we ain't,
Very
you know
much
what I
so.
mean? Absolutely. Like, I don't know why, but as it relates to like a new wave of women, like I welcome more women in the space. We ain't going nowhere as a result of it. I ain't hating on another woman that comes into the space, and she's genuine, and you guys will. I would hope that the men in this space will vet them the same way that they vetted us and put them through the ringer too. But I'm not bothered by by other. I think that, like, I'm confident in what we have, so I'm not bothered by other women coming to the space and rising to the top.
Well, dang, our guest was out. Well, shout out to cjnbm. Brother, thank
Absolutely.
you so much for gracing us with your presence this morning. This was an excellent conversation that we had with you, and hopefully you'll join us as a guest again. We appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Next,
Next, Nerdine.
yes.
Hey,
What's
how was
good,
Thanksgiving?
Nerdine?
How was Thanksgiving?
Oh, impatient.
You
How was
know
Thanksgiving?
what? I got a chance to do something that I've never done before. So I got a chance to spend Thanksgiving with my in-laws, and
Congratulations.
yeah, I was able to celebrate in a different way because it was our first Thanksgiving with our in-laws, as a married couple. And yeah, it was nice. It was really nice. His parents are dope. They're just good, really solid people. So really embraced me and showed me me and my son all kinds of love, and just being around our family and stuff. It was dope. And it was my birthday, so it was lit. It was lit.
Even though you're Miss Middleton, you're still Sister George to me.
Honey, Curlin told me I can keep the name. He said it's all good. That's your brand. So, it was a discussion. Should I be Mrs. Middleton on this thing? He was like, nah, you can keep the name. That's who they know you as. It's all good. So,
Sister.
yeah.
I know that for sure.
Yeah, what are
Yeah,
your thoughts?
well, my thoughts are, I understand that women, that the sisters out here are crying about what their choices and the men that they get. But we were at the end of the day, a lot of the good brothers were actually warning y'all about these dudes. We were saying, hey, listen, you're gonna end up paying for it if y'all keep on dating Pookie, Ray, Juju, Mr. Happy Pants and all sorts of good stuff, because with Pookie and Ray, where I heard that guy said that they were the warrior class of our community. Look at what they were doing to our community. Those weren't warriors. To me, those were traitors. Those are the ones that were destroying communities and killed
Misguided
the first
warrior
black man.
class. Let me clarify
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
Misguided warrior
Misguided
class.
warrior class. And look at what happened. Look at what happened. Those are the guys that will rob you in a second, take your Jordans, put two holes in you, sell your jacket while you have two holes in your jacket. We were warning y'all about. We were warning y'all. The good black men were warning y'all about these guys, but none of the sisters listened. And I think the reason why they're kind of upset with those men because they were dating them, and now they're not producing anything. And we were trying to warn y'all forever about these guys, but I think what's going on now is that the good guys that were warning y'all decided to give it up and go elsewhere. You know?
Nuruddin,
Yes.
stop shaming these women, okay, bro?
No,
You
I'm
don't have
not
to shame
shaming
them.
them. I'm telling them this is the result of what happened. We were trying to warn you from this result. You understand?
I think we should
No, I'm not
preference it by
shaming them.
saying some women and some men, because again, everybody's situation is different. Some people actually have been raised, with both parents. That's what I mean
And
by
still
like
went
the narrative.
and did some crazy stuff.
What happened?
And still went and did some crazy stuff.
Well, of course, man, we're human beings. I mean, this is not heaven. So I don't expect the earth to be perfect. And why do black people have to have a supernatural power? Why do black women have to have a supernatural power or black men have to have a supernatural power and we act like, what I'm saying, like we're just screwed up beyond redeeming value. But
Right.
let me just say something real quick that you said. I wanted to clarify when you were talking about responding to me about history repeating itself and saying that we can't really look to an older generation to return. What I was basically saying was, if you study the Etruscans, which in Western history and these people who control this country and these think tanks, psychologists know white, black, blue, green, purple, green, alien, reptilian. We're all human beings, which means if human beings really haven't changed too much in 2,000 years, and history does repeat itself. The same crap that was happening 100 years ago is happening now. We're about to have a ultra conservative president after Biden coming into the 20s, right? There's going to be deregulation. They had racial tension high. You had the Tulsa race riots. You had black men who were killed returning back from World War One, I believe. We just got out of Afghanistan, right? We got this surplus, right? There was the Spanish flu, right? And we got this thing going on. I'm saying all that to say people never learn, and this is why. Because the generation who goes through the initial trauma, they become very protective and they know and they'll arm themselves. And that's why people were more like preppers and all of that. And then once the wartime passed, then it was an era of learning and passing down the skills that were learned. So that's like your boomer generation. Then there became the age of prosperity. So it's called the 90-year cycle. So what ends up happening is that very last generation that's on the receiving end of all that hard work, somewhere along the line, people stop teaching. Somewhere along the line, people start thinking how we could be thinking negative now and say, you know what? No one ever learns from the past. And everything's so pessimistic. And I think, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm from Atlanta originally, but I live in Texas. I'm going to mention these brothers' names, but there's some brothers I know that are very negative that would always tell me negative stuff about black women in Atlanta. And, listening to their perspective, I'd be like, man, maybe those girls are stuck up, woo, woo, woo. And then I went back to take care of moms with dementia. Man, there were sisters choosing, you hear me? Hard, that were fine as hell. Like, you'd have to be Little Nas X to not be feeling them. You know what I'm saying? And they have good jobs. The thing that I figured about them brothers that were negative was their whole perspective was negative because somebody's living in their mama's basement. Somebody's had, failed stuff in their own life, right? So they have a negative perspective. So if I wasn't careful, I'd be thinking like, man, you can't even go to the gas station in Atlanta without getting shot because you can't even do this and that and the third. And it's all about the energy to project degree. So that's what I'm trying to say. Let's don't think we have to have human superpowers. And remember, human history repeats itself. That's all I want to say.
About common sense.
That's a good point. Thank you, Robbie Blue, for that. And Nuruddin, go ahead and finish up your point because we want to get Kara Juice in here. I already see, being that he has his monitor on, him rolling his eyes and stuff at some of the comments being said. So
no, I mean,
I'm interested to see. Oh, okay. Maybe it was just me because I know how you do, Kara Juice. But I'm interested to see what he has to add to the conversation. So go ahead, Nuruddin.
What I'm trying to convey here is that, if you want to put a lack of a term, the Pookies and Ray Rays and all that good stuff, yeah, they may have been fun for a good time, but are they a long time? And we were saying this forever. And now with the Kevin Samuels high value man theory, high value man concept and everything like that, guys have actually paid attention. We're seeing how this is going. That you want a dude who had nothing to do with it to come back and fix your problem, and it's not going to happen that way. Now, are there some good sisters? Yeah, I would love. I was married to one at one point. Don't get me wrong. I'm not giving up on all of them. I'm not doing that. But what I'm saying is that when you make the worst decisions ever out there, yeah, that's kind of a hard sell to get a black man who's actually worth a lot, who's done his part to deal with a woman who made bad decisions. That's what I'm talking about. If we're seeing that, and Sister George and Concrete Rose, I love them. They're like my sisters and everything like that. But I'm seeing that there are some women out there that made some of the worst decisions ever, and they want guys like us to come back and clean it up. It doesn't work that way, and they get very upset and very shocked that the guys who they put in the friend zone and the guys that were trying to warn them, they want them to come back and clean it up. Like, nah, it doesn't work, Anyway, just in case, just to let you know, Sister George and Concrete Rose, I'll be sending you more money as it becomes along because I got a brand new job. I'm a sanitation worker now, so yeah, I'll be sending you some love down the pipe whenever I can. But
congratulations,
I just want them to understand that if y'all keep on doing this, guys ain't coming back to deal with that. The guys that you need in the community, and that's the reason why the guys in the community, when they saw they were being disrespected and being shunned to the side, what do you expect these guys to do? Do you expect them to stay there and continue down this road, or do you expect them to look for something else?
Thank you, Nurdine. Let me read the super chat real quick because I don't.
You know what? Miss Concrete.
Yeah, Lara.
1 second. I'm sorry. Nurdine, bro, you need to get a new testimony, bro.
That's what I was trying to do.
Go ahead.
No, what I'm saying is that
we know
if they're good women, if they're good black women, I'm taking them. Believe me, I will take them all day, every day. But after seeing what's going on here, I'm like, I think when you make some of the bad decisions, you can't come back from that.
But that's the point.
We
Why
understand
are you trying to save somebody but you know what? Let's
I'm not
move the
shaming them.
I actually want to get Carrot Juice in here, Nurdine. But you have every right to feel the way you feel. I respect it, and thank you, and congratulations. Casual Observer says those ATL chicks would be married if they were good. Well, being that there's so many more women to men in Atlanta, I don't think men have any motivations to marry. Like, why would you? Men move here to have fun and enjoy and sow their royal oats. So, Sun is hot, Ra.
I'm married, so that's why I didn't go for it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay, I feel you. Sun is hot. Ra says, Robbie Blue, what does being a normal, decent human being have to do with having supernatural powers? Is that what you equate being normal to?
Can I?
So I'll give you just quickly, and then we got to get Carrot Juice in here.
Okay, brother Rob, what I was basically saying was a tactic by white supremacists. Whenever they bring up the murder rate in Chicago, whenever they bring up all these things, like they make it seem like black people can have no flaws. That's what I mean. I'm actually agreeing with you. We have a right to be normal. So just because they report on some of our flaws more, don't fall for the propaganda and make it seem like there aren't other communities that have just as many issues as we do. Because I'm telling you, by being someone who's lived in South Texas and traveled around, I see how the propaganda works, and they have people thinking like we're the face of poverty, we're the face of depravity, we're unredeemable. But you can have a white girl go and have a bunch of illegitimate pregnancies, and they'll just say it's a mistake. You have a black girl do it, you want to demonize her and tell her that she's the worst thing, and Kevin Samuels needs to ask her dress size. I'm just saying, like, us doing all this infighting, which on this panel, thank God, is not a lot of that going on. I don't mind responding to constructive questions because you're right. We should have the right to be normal, which means
Mhm.
that's the beauty of this. We can be human beings. I don't like it when white supremacists make it seem like y'all better have no crime. Y'all
Mhm.
better get more on your SAT than barbecue sauce. You know what I'm saying? It's just sickening.
Uh, I agree. I agree. And I understood your point, and I think that you made some solid points. I'm in agreement with you. All right, Carrot Juice, what you got on the topic, brother, or anything that you've heard discussed?
Hello, can you guys hear me okay?
We can. And hello, hello. Welcome to the panel.
Well,
Hey,
thank you for
Carrot
having me,
Juice.
Sister George and Concrete Rose. Um, there was a lot just spewed out in like the past couple of different things. So I'll just kind of just tie it to what I want to convey here. And um, I think it's a really good thing actually happening right now on YouTube because people are having the conversation. Say what you want to say about Kevin Samuels and what he has going, or a lot of men who are in the manosphere. The conversation is being had and people are taking notice. And I don't think you got to have one particular perspective on women or dating or red pill or blue pill or what have you. But the long and the short of it is men are finally have a space here where our voices are being heard and that we're demonstrating and saying, hey, this is what we want. And I don't know how familiar you guys are with Kevin Samuels, but I am 32 years old. I'm single. I don't have any kids. And I'm what he would consider a Henry, high earner, not rich yet.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of what the men here on the panel, respect to them, were saying when they were coming up with talking about how there are women who, dated Pookies and Ray Rays, and there's some good women out there and all that have you. A guy who's on the upward trajectory, even if that is the case, just is not going to, more likely than not, take a bet on a woman who's been dating Pookie and Ray Rays in the first place. I'm not going to even look that direction
Exactly.
because why would I do that when I could be with somebody who doesn't have that trauma? Not saying that the person's a bad person, but I'm just looking at it. It doesn't matter what race you are or what you've been through in your life. I'm going to look for somebody who doesn't have that trauma. And that's what guys are starting to have standards.
Facts.
And that's
That's what I
what's
was
really
trying to
starting to
say.
happen in this space, and it's being pushed back. And I'm not saying that if you made a mistake or if you had a kid or anything, you can't be redeemed and like overcome that. But guys are just wising up, especially guys that are in my position, college educated. I make pretty good money. I don't have all the answers, but I do have some good things going for me. I'm not going to take the chance on somebody who has kids or who been dating Pookie and Ray Ray's, got tattoos all up and down their back, not because they're a bad person, but it's just like, it's not going to come into my life at all. We're not going to have anything in common. So I like that we're having the conversation here on YouTube and online in general. And I like panels like this when it's not just contention, where it's a back and forth. Like, I want people to um, give me criticism on what I think and what have you. I don't need to be right. I just want to come to a level of understanding at the end of the day.
Well, let me ask you a question, Carrot Juice.
Sure.
You brought about a really, really interesting point when you talked about trauma.
Hmm.
Um, I would say that this space in particular, the Black manosphere, is comprised of men who have gone through traumatic things.
Hmm.
Should women also take the same attitude that you take when it comes down to dealing with women with trauma?
So you're saying, so I'm trying to get your question right. So you're saying a
Men
woman,
have gone through trauma.
uh-huh.
Lots of men have gone through trauma. Lots
Hmm.
of trauma that has not been resolved
Yeah.
because men don't
You
necessarily
have an
resolve their
outlet.
traumas. Yes.
Hmm.
Should we take that same considerations if women are good women, quote unquote? Should women take that same consideration with dealing with a lot of our men?
My way to answer that question would be, it's all based on what you want. do you want that man? If you really want that man, are you willing to deal with the trauma that he has? But if your value is in a place where you could get a man who checks all the boxes without the trauma, would you pick the guy with the trauma or without?
That's interesting because like women. Thank you, Nardine. But women, as women, we generally don't have a hard time attracting someone. Now, attracting someone who checks all the boxes, that's another. Yeah, that's another story. But I think that as a person a woman within the 20%, that I have a value that a lot of women don't have. So as a result, I think that I can afford to be picky and choosy. Like, why would someone want to enter into a relationship with someone who has trauma, especially unhealed trauma? I think all Black people suffer from a degree of PTSD. That's another story too. But like, if you have unhealed trauma that you're hanging on to, why would a person who is worth her salt enter into a relationship with someone like that?
Because I kind of look at it as one of the big problems is men aren't specific about a lot of the trauma that they've experienced until you get to a space like this, and you'll realize that the trauma didn't just start with women that they were dealing with in a quote unquote relationship, but it started with their moms, and it started with family members, and it started at an early age, and a lot of that trauma goes unresolved. And so then you grow with men that are usually attracted to a certain type of woman, and they deal with those type of women, in my personal opinion, due to a lot of unresolved traumas. It just made me think, like, it's a lot of men in this space, and I don't think that they're bad men because they've gone through something, but it's the same thing on the other side, but that tends to play out in different ways. Women go through trauma, generally act out in certain ways. I would say the same thing for men, but it's almost like we throw each other away and say, okay, well, you went through this, so I'm not going to deal with you because you went through this. Men will say, well, if a woman is like this, and I guess everybody goes with their best option, but it just made me think, like, well, a lot of people go through quite a bit of trauma. So
well, know what, Daniel? Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. So if
Laurel, can you speak up just a bit, because I can barely hear you? Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Is that fine?
Yeah.
Okay, so if a man, I heard the brother say he doesn't want to deal with a woman who went through Pookie and Ray Ray trauma. So if we can all just agree that everybody goes through some type of trauma, and there are more than one type of trauma, right? So you don't want to deal with the Pookie and Ray Ray drama, but what kind of drama or trauma are you willing to deal with from a woman? Because if she's not going through Pookie and Ray Ray trauma, she's going through something else, brother.
Right. He said no single moms, but maybe she's had 4 or 5 abortions. Is that okay? Maybe she takes get a morning after pill every other weekend. Like, everybody has something. You might not be able to see it right up front. It may mask itself, but everybody has some sort of type of trauma. But I think that valuable people, I think that, like, people I think everyone is valuable, have their own inherent value. But I think that people who are looking to enter into relationships are looking for particular things. And every man and woman has certain requirements. My fiance is crazy picky, but I was a single mom when we started dating, and that wasn't a no for him. That wasn't a something that he wasn't willing to deal with. So that was but he also had children, so I don't, there's everybody has something that they just won't compromise with, that for one reason or another, they wouldn't date or entertain someone who has this specific thing. But it drives me absolutely insane and this is just a side note, men or people to act as though women who have children from prior relationships are somehow not valuable, but men who have children from prior relationships hold an extreme amount of value. Like I even have heard people
Girl,
making that comparison with
you
Danny
better preach.
and brother Carlin. Like they both had one child. They both came to the relationship
But
with one
now,
child, but people are making an argument that somehow he saved her and her child. Like
but
they
wait a
both now
minute.
have two beautiful a bonus baby
But
from the other
let me
person.
say this. Let me say this. Because
Right.
even I will make a differentiation between how Curlin and I had our kids. Curlin actually had his child within a marriage. I was a single mother. Now, my relationship with my son's father wasn't just a fly by night relationship, but I feel that there does need to be a differentiation. When you have men that are single fathers or have created single mothers and they are the ones talking shit, then yeah, that's where I find the issue at, because you created a single fucking mother, but you have the absolute nerve to put your mouth on me and mine and what we do. Yeah, that's where I will have an issue at.
See,
But if you're
I.
talking about, let me just say this, if you're talking about men that created their kids within a marriage and let's say that marriage didn't work out, I wouldn't consider that a baby's dad. That was an ex-husband.
Yeah, of course.
I was a baby's mom,
I
and I
still
don't have a
don't feel
problem
like you
with
have
that.
any less value because of that. And me personally, I see people make the distinction between, they'll say, well, men don't have their children. Like, you guys are full-time parents to now your bonus baby and you have your son. So you have two children in the home. But I still just
I
don't
put
think that
less
that takes
value on
away
that.
from your value.
I think I
No,
actually,
no, I'm
Man,
not even talking about me personally. I've heard men in this space say that. Well, men
yeah.
don't have their kids. They only, women, they come in with their kids. The kids is a package
Well, I'm
deal. They
saying
make that point.
as people who took the time out to get married and that they actually produced the child within a marriage, I would actually say that that takes precedence over somebody who didn't. And that's just my opinion, but I feel like the problem is the single motherhood rate and women raising kids by themselves and those kids turning out to be shit. And I don't feel like everybody deserves a participation trophy, especially when everybody was fucking and sucking, and you had the options on what to do with the baby. You had options on who you let into your body. You had options to take care of that. You had options to do whatever it is that you wanted to do.
Preach.
Yeah,
And
I agree
so
with that.
that's what I'm saying.
I,
Yeah.
I agree with that, but I don't have the same, like we have
I
different
got you.
ideas of marriage. Like I don't put a strong emphasis on getting, the white man's permission to marry, like things like that. So, well, I know that we feel differently about that. But, I was
And I
specifically
wouldn't say
talking
it would be
about,
the white man's permission, because you could have a state sanctioned marriage or a
yeah,
non-state
that's what,
sanctioned marriage.
yeah.
Let me finish. A non-state sanctioned marriage, but that would still be having your child under in a certain way versus
Right.
not being married at all.
I'm
That's
not
all.
man,
arguing the semantics of it. I'm saying, like, I don't hold civil marriage, civil union, state sanctioned marriage in the same regard that you do. So we feel differently about that, is my
I'm
only
saying the
point.
marriage
But
doesn't
I
have to
was
be
Hey,
sanctioned
C
or
Rose.
state. It doesn't have
right,
to. It
but
doesn't have to have legal, to where it's legal ramifications. What I'm
that
saying
wasn't what
is,
I was trying to highlight, though. I was trying to highlight simply that I've heard men in this space put more emphasis on the fact that the reason that a man who has a child, whether it was in a marriage, in a relationship, outside that has a child, and a woman that has a child, that the man doesn't, that the men don't have, they're not bringing the child into the relationship with them because men aren't typically the sole provider of the child. So for that reason, I've heard men in this space say that, there's more, that a woman is essentially a package deal with her child, that she has more of a burden that the
well,
man is taking on her and her child.
Sister George, C Rose, I have to ask Lara a question. Well, after you're done,
I'm done.
I
I'm
want to
done.
ask him a question.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, Lara, I have to ask this question. You said that men, they should want to, like, the guys should want to put up with certain traumas or whatever, and I get it, right? But what if the guy doesn't want to put up with that from a person?
No,
What
no,
happens then?
that's not what I said. What I said was
Yeah, all
you're
right,
not.
then correct me.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, what I said was, okay, you don't want to deal with Pookie and Ray Ray drama that a woman brings to the table, right? Okay, I get it. But everybody is coming to the table with some type of trauma,
Something.
right? Okay, what type of trauma are you willing to deal with?
I don't know.
But he asked that for me to answer. I never got a chance to answer.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
I got to
answer the question, Carrot Juice. What's your response?
My answer to that question would be I don't want to deal with any trauma if I can help it.
You're asking for a perfect person now, bro.
Right,
No,
even childhood trauma.
No, can I? If I can help it, and I understand that everybody has something, but I'm going to try to mitigate that as much. And I don't want the person to be perfect. But if you are choosing somebody to marry, once I get married, I don't want it to be, I want it to be it. That's it. I don't have any kids for a reason. I went through college. I was around it. You know what I mean? I've had my chances I was an athlete in college. I'm 6'5". I've had my fair share of chances to have a kid if I wanted to. So I've made sure that I made sound decisions this entire time. And what I'm saying is I know that nobody's going to be perfect, but if I can choose somebody that doesn't have any trauma, whether it means kids, if it means bad home life, if it means dealing with Pookie and Ray Rays, STDs, I am going to try to pick somebody that doesn't have any of that. And if that means somebody, I'm okay with dating. I've dated black women, white women, Asian women, Latino women. I'll date whatever. I'm open to it all. So I'm not just putting myself in the box to be like, I just have to deal with this one thing.
Hey,
so,
Carrot Juice, check this out. Here's the perfect opportunity for you to invoke your godfather's name, right? Check this out. That your boy, he always says this, right? You know, I've heard him enough. He's not complete bullshit, but you know, whatever. He says you should ask that woman, has she had therapy? That's just the quick way to just go through all that. But even with therapy, they still might walk out with all that stuff still on their brain. So
Let me,
I get exactly what you're saying.
And I can understand all that, and I'll finish real quick. I can understand all of that, and I deal with it on a daily basis because I currently work as a probation agent. So I supervise over 150 people. I deal with domestic violence cases all the time. I send people to therapy all the time. It's literally my job to hold people accountable. So to an order from the judge. So I see trauma on a daily basis. I read the reports. So I have like a different level of understanding to be able to discern what's going on out here, you know. So
you know what I'll say? I think to piggyback on what the brother just said, in defense of what he's saying first, and then I'll give my own testimony real quick. As being somebody that I felt had a perfect relationship and went through a divorce, let me say this. I think that a lot of guys who do have themselves together are apprehensive to get married because I will say the judicial system, when it comes to
screw you
divorces
over.
and how they keep it as a business,
Let them
right?
finish it.
I don't know what it said. It threw me off. I'm just saying, like, a lot of times the court system is unfair to men, so it's really not always a good deal, especially if you know, have matriculated and got yourself together where you have some assets, you know, because I'm gonna tell you, the best marriages work when people go through struggle together to get something. Because marriage is work, just like healing is work. Healing is not an event, it's a process. And another reason why I think we get it twisted now with this new generation of men where we're more emotional and we didn't have our father there to model to us that forgiveness is a decision, not a feeling. Just like me saying, you know what, man, I'm not gonna go upside this woman's head, not because it's not an emotion, it's because it's a decision. We don't have emotional intelligence, so that fear and apprehension is totally well founded to say, man, I do not want to get with any woman, and I'm trying to like mathematically make sure the probability is there. But let me tell you what's carbon monoxide in a relationship: insecurity in a woman. Let me tell you what else is carbon monoxide: ambition, hidden ambition. Your woman may not act a fool till she gets her master's degree. Because at that time when she gets her master's degree, she's around a bunch of other divorced, bitter women who are trying to, you know, put their own toxins. See, we have to guard our household to the day that we die. I've seen my parents; they're in their late 70s now, and I'm glad my father's still here, and I can pick his brain, and I can even look at my relationship. We had everything right, but see, even if your girl may not have baggage, her family can have baggage, and especially
They can
depending
bring
on
that
what
to
culture
you.
it is. Exactly. That's and what I'm saying is it's going to
Dang,
happen.
that's a good point.
So what I'm saying is you
Facts.
have to work at it. It's not something that you just say, oh, okay, she's right, and I don't have to keep talking and communicating. It's work. Anybody who tells you that it's not something you got to maintain, they're lying to you because you're gonna have to go through forgiveness. You're gonna go through disagreements, and you got to remember, just like she
and
has her own
disappointments.
insecurities, just like she has her own insecurities, family can have their jealousy. Those are the biggest people who will be haters. Like when I look back with my ex, she didn't realize some of the friends that she was bringing around, trying to be a good Christian too, they were the biggest haters. Because once we got separated, they showed themselves. You get what I'm saying? But they feel like a fool because I kept my house. I'm a disabled vet. I got 3,500 square feet, a movie theater. I've been retired since 2005. You dig? And I was
Congratulations.
Well,
going to school to be a nurse. So my thing of it is see what I'm saying is I had everything right, but things can still go wrong even if you put God right and all this,
mm,
because you know what you don't have control over? Individual free will. So don't beat yourself up, brother or sister, if you take a chance on marriage and somebody else act a fool. But also don't be quick to end the marriage thinking you just gonna come find utopia. Because I'm gonna tell you, when you
I
get
agree with
35,
that.
40, you're gonna find all the crazies on the internet, all the low hanging fruit that got all those mental problems you're talking about. And to the brother that talks about, the Pookie and Ray Ray energy, let me say this. This is why it's important to get healing, because I can hear the pain in your voice a little. And one
No,
thing I know, even for
I'm
myself,
concerned.
Nuruddin,
let me
Very
Nuruddin, you
finish.
gotta
Let me
concerned.
stop.
finish. Let me finish.
Nuruddin, you
Let
have
me
to
let,
stop
let me finish. Let
interrupting.
me finish. Let me finish because I'm talking about myself right now because I went through this. I didn't get over my divorce the right way, and guess what happened? I didn't realize it. I started attracting negative women. You know what I'm trying to say? Like the law of attraction is real. You got to get to a point where you take a spiritual laxative. You know what I'm saying? Where you say, look, it is okay that this person hurt me. It's okay that this happened. I learned from it. Don't believe everything you see on social media that everybody's perfect and everybody's doing better and everybody's accomplished more, or I should have been married by this age. Don't rush into anything. You're right. You're gonna find somebody who's a little broken. But here's the difference. If they're trying to heal, they're not going to be an overly emotional person that doesn't have intelligence with it. And that comes from life experience. Emotional intelligence
Uh,
is the key.
okay,
See,
okay.
Rose, can I
Thank
respond to that, please?
very quickly, Nuruddin, and then we want
No,
to go ahead and get
the
Mr.
reason
Research
why
in here.
I'm not saying it from a place of hurt. I'm saying it from a place of caring because I care about our women. If they continue to do the things that we're talking about, picking the worst guys, everything like that, of course no one's gonna want to deal with that. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, hey, ladies, let's just make the right decision because at the end of the day, if you're picking these Pookies and Ray Rays and then all of a sudden something bad happens, don't expect the guy who has everything to come in and save you. It's not going to work that way because he's looking at it as, whoa, you're not only making a bad decision, you're making a bad financial decision. You got a bad decision in guys that you're dating and all sorts of good stuff. Guys don't want to deal with that. That's what I'm saying.
Mm.
And
Thank you,
and and one, and one more thing, the reason why guys are kind of apprehensive, especially guys who made something of themselves, are apprehensive about getting married, is because they know that at the end of it, these guys will end up losing everything. I was married. When I had $60,000 to my name at the end of the divorce or anything like that, I have to start all over. So
Mm.
that's why guys are apprehensive about getting married. That's what I'm saying.
All
You
right,
right.
Nuruddin.
We
So
got to heal from it.
I'm gonna actually let Mr.
Why do you
Research
think
get in here.
why do you think that
Nuruddin, we heard
I
you.
didn't
You don't
heal
have
from
to
this?
repeat it. We're gonna move on and let Mr. Research in here.
I'm addressing him.
I
I'm
understand
addressing
that
him.
you've gotten your point out. We want to go ahead and allow other people to get a chance to speak too. So, Mr. Research joined the panel, and I want to hear from him. Mr. Research, what would you like to add to the conversation or topic at hand, whichever you choose?
Well, I'm just going to speak directly to you two ladies because I don't want to trigger anybody. Um, I've said to you two ladies when y'all first started this journey that um, I helped create this manosphere. Me, Alpha Male Wisdom, Mr. Minister Jap, Angry Man, and O'Shea. And this is before everybody else came along. And what I've said to you two ladies is we now have a lot of people who are just inconsistent. Dudes don't have self-discipline. Dudes are angry. I find it amazing. I've said this to both of you guys. Even when me and Sister George had a little bumping of the heads one time, I've said to you ladies, there's a lot of dudes who you ladies are more mature than. You guys are trying to have an intellectual conversation. And I find it so amazing, episode after episode, you have to remind guys over 28 to be self disciplined. Here's the truth, ladies. This new manosphere is all about teasing women, poking fun at women, and creating new women who hate men. Ever since these many of these people, they got great points. Let's not shame all of them. 30% of them got great points, great intellectual points. But then there's this 70% that just wants to create more women who hate black men. You would have loved this space back in 2007. It was so peaceful. But we had one lady come along. Her name was Olivia. She worked for MTV, and she started creating problems. That's why me and Minister Jap put out stuff about how women created the gender war here, because we've been around long enough to see it. But then dudes started replying back because, as Angry Man said, men need a voice. But then that voice, ladies, became poison. And dudes start trying to create. They would literally go to pages and screw with women who wasn't even talking bad about black men, forcing those women to eventually start talking bad about black men. I land my plane to you two ladies, and I'm speaking to you two specifically, because like I said, other people, I just don't get it. You ladies got to understand this space is going to get worse and worse because our men don't have a real goal that they're trying to achieve. I don't care about whether you two ladies or any lady, and I say this to your face. I appreciate both of y'all, but I don't care about women enough to sit up here and try to convince you what you should be doing. No, I'm focused on my future son. I'm focused on my property. I don't even speak about women a lot. And that's the problem you two ladies are facing episode after episode. You are dealing with 70% of guys who just hate, and they want to create women who hate. There was not a lot of women on this platform speaking against black men until we started having O'Shea Rumbles. O'Shea Rumbles gave to a lot of stuff. So I find you guys a really intellectually fascinating to watch these episodes where you have to rodeo in dudes who should be more disciplined than you two ladies. That's amazing. Thank you.
Mr. Research, that was actually pretty interesting. I like certain things, you kind of, there's so many things that we do on this show that's just kind of become a part of the process, but I never really stopped to pay attention to the fact that, men who, this is a predominantly male space, should be male led, who kind of lack discipline, and we're having to redirect and, kind of remind to behave as disciplined men. So that's a very interesting point that you made. So thank you for your contribution. Real quick, I want to read the super chat from the RX0. He says, there are too many negative variables with modern women for us to consider them as lifelong romantic companions, and they'll have to accept that. The RX0, I think that's interesting. The thing is, literally, when I initially came to this space, there were a lot of these types of comments that I would see, and I would fight somebody tooth and nail. No, Black women are not like that. And then I started paying closer attention to Black women on social platforms and the things that they were saying. And I hear Black women saying, marriage is forever and being with somebody forever, like that's too much of a commitment. Like I've heard women admitting that like they don't want to enter into a relationship and only be with one man forever, like they feel like that's too limiting. So that's a good point. Thank you. The RX
Some of them, and Miss Rose, some of them say, some of them actually go out when they're married and trying to act single. And I've noticed that a lot. These women will be married and they're flaunting like they're single. I'm like, yo, don't you have a husband at home?
I can believe it.
What would your husband think?
Eugene says, earlier I said these GMFs are making it hard for real women to get picked. This is true. I also wanted to say that Pookies and Ray Rays are making it hard for us. I would think that there are difficulties on both sides because there are people who folks will look at as our representatives who don't have a moral base. Like if someone is drawing media attention because of their negative behavior, oftentimes that's attributed to Black women. You see somebody fighting in the buffet, it's attributed to Black women. If you see somebody acting a fool in the club or shooting, that behavior is attributed to Black men. So on both sides there are hurdles that folks have to overcome as it relates to dating and mating.
Because men can't handle women cheating. Some men can. I think that's what it
Concrete.
is.
Hey, check this out, man. Listen. Yeah. Why is so much energy like put upon like certain people, right? Like they say the Pookie and Ray Ray thing again came up once again. Look, bro, like you act like Dante in Quantum Security can't go home and drag his damn woman down the stairs, bro.
We've had that discussion.
Y'all got to get out of that, man.
How often?
I mean, shit.
Lauro, we've had that discussion. We did a whole topic on it. But the thing
what's
is,
the frequency?
Nurdine, it happens. Like you guys think that.
I know it happens.
Hold on. Nurdine, hold on. You guys think that the only people who do anything wrong that in the Black community are Pookie and Ray Rays. We've talked about how educated, even from like cheating to having multiple baby mamas, like military men like are some of the biggest whores you want to meet. College guys, frat guys, like you guys try to relegate behavior to just a certain segment, but it makes it easy for Black men to be like,
those guys get separated too.
Nurdine.
You just don't want her to.
Can I just finish my
go ahead.
It just makes it easier.
Hey, wait a minute. If she's speaking, let her speak. Yeah.
Literally, I'm just like 2 seconds. It just makes it easier for everyone else to say, that's not us, that's them over there. And that's all I was trying to say.
Concrete. All I was going to say is, following that logic, well, then why is it that you got white feminists that make the same arguments about white men? They're white men that make more money, have more opportunity, and they can still beat their wife and do all kind of stuff. So, in other words, you don't know what a wife beater looks like. I know statistically we could say because of poverty how somebody is, but you know what I think the real issue is, and it makes me chuckle, and I think this comes from life experiences, and maybe to a degree when I was younger, I'm not going to say I was a man whore, but I mean, let's put it to you this way. I wasn't as sensitive maybe as I got older when you're a young teenager or if you're single and you're in the military, because I heard the military brought up. This is what you have to understand. I came to this conclusion a long time ago. My dad pushed my sister to become the woman that he didn't want her to be by being too controlling, too religious, having good intentions, but not knowing how to like emote and express. Again, sometimes I want to say white men used to struggle with this problem more, but I think what it really boils down to is the stigma that we get from our friends. I used to have friends tell me, man, I ain't trying to become a Kodak daddy, meaning I ain't trying to become an instant daddy with this chick. It could be some fine chick, nice, curves, the whole nine. He'd be like, man, I ain't, she got 2 kids, she's got mileage. And then I'd be seeing the girl that he's with, and I'd be like, bro, we just poked her like Pokemon, and she got no kids. You know what I'm saying? You don't know how much mileage she got. So I think we got to get it out of our mind. Look, we ain't teenagers. Nobody's a virgin. So if you ain't a virgin, you can't expect a woman to be a virgin. But I remember like this one sister was telling me one time, she was like, she had a dude straight up get mad and punch her in the eye and all this. And I'm not making this up. he was asking her about the penis size of some of her past lovers. So I guess I think when we're under 25, we think we're showing a woman some shit she's never seen. Look, I have what God has blessed me with. And it's like what I tell my girl or any chick I meet. I'm confident with me. If I know I can make a woman have multiple orgasms, I'm doing something right. So I don't matter if somebody's hung at a horse or they short as a Chinaman. But I'm thinking, you got some women don't realize this power they have. It's penis envy. You got some brothers that in their mind, they thinking like, dude, the last your baby daddy, he was beating the brakes off of. It makes you.
I
It makes
think
me
you may
laugh.
be
It's just
projecting that upon
insecurity.
other people.
It's just insecurity.
Well, wait, Laura, what were you
And C
saying?
Rose.
No, I
Go ahead.
said I think he
Let
may
Laura
be.
go, Nuruddin, and then we're gonna
No,
get to you.
I
I'm
think
sorry,
he
Well,
may
Laura.
be.
matter of fact, let's just start it up with final thoughts. Laura, what are yours?
Yeah, I think he might be projecting that upon other people. I've never thought in my head what somebody else's stuff was, man, bro. I don't know what you're talking about. Thank you, Concrete Rose and Sister George. You guys
Thank you,
are
Laura.
very needed in the space because they come over here and they let all their feelings out. So that's cool. Appreciate you.
Thank
guys.
you, Laura, for joining us. We appreciate you. You ain't go off today. You was cool, calm, and collected. That's what we like to see. Definitely appreciate your contribution to the conversation, bro.
Yeah, Laura was like really nice.
Yeah, what's
thought
going on? You know what? I think he got a little buzz going on. But let's go with
like
Nuruddin
drinking.
next.
Okay.
Look,
Yeah.
maybe might have puffed a little
C
something.
Rose. When you
Hey,
talk
what's
about
going
those
on?
good guys that go up against upside women's heads and stuff like that, especially those who were in the military and everything like that are black, we actually go up against them too, because we're like, hey, listen, guys, we're trying to build something and you making us all look bad. See, that's how I look at it, because I turn against those dudes the same way I would turn against Pookie and Ray Ray, because I'm like, whoa, you're in a high position. I'm like, you should know better. So, and the thing about me trying to shame women I'm like, no, I'm not shaming y'all. I'm warning y'all that, every time you make a bad decision, it comes with consequences. And that's the reason why these women are kind of complaining, because they're realizing the consequences are caught up with them, when they had someone who said to them, hey, listen, I don't think you should be doing that right now. But they actually go out there and do it, just like brothers. With brothers, we understand that if we make a bad decision, it comes back and hurts us, and we don't complain. Some of them complain about it, but others don't. So at the end of all this, if somebody's trying to give you some sound advice and you don't take it, be like, all right, no problem. When don't feel bad when no one comes to your aid. It's just like, I had a friend of mine who said, well, hey, Muhammad, would you defend me if I'm doing something wrong, or if I'm the one that's starting some trouble? I'm like, no, why would I? And then he was like, well, he was trying to let the other guys know that even though I'm the one that's starting problems, I should be defended. I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. I could see if you were being accosted, and I just walked up and happened to see what was going on, then yeah, I get it. But if you're out there creating this very problems you're talking about, yeah, you don't need to be defended. So ladies, we were trying to let you know that these guys were they come with costs. And these costs are, okay, you may end up as a baby mama, you may have bad credit, he may lead you into homelessness or in the gutter. And guys, who try to turn all whores into housewives, you may end up with a chick who's trying to take you of everything you got, trying to put you on child support. And there's a whole lot of stuff. So, I always say learn from your mistakes, because if you don't, you're doomed to repeat it.
Thank you, Nuruddin. Appreciate you for joining the conversation and adding your 2 cents. Again, congratulations on your new job. And
Yes.
Yeah, I start 5 a.m. tomorrow.
Outstanding. And we're looking for some money next week. We really appreciate
I'm about to go. Like, this is when I check out though, because she get the cutting up.
Yeah, I did send you a super chat earlier.
Thank you. We appreciate
thank
you,
Nuruddin.
See?
I don't know how I missed it.
I can't stand this heifer.
I show some love to the
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. Come on.
We appreciate it, because maybe we need it, because I be needing to pay for extra patience when you bring your behind up here. But
Well, I'll give you some extras. I'll give you some
We
extras.
appreciate you nonetheless.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
Any
you.
who's
I'm just having
China
fun
White.
here.
Can
We
can I
know.
can I jump in? Cause I was having battery problems earlier. That's why I was charging. But can I?
Okay,
I'll be
she we
quick.
doing closing comments, but you are
Yeah.
more than welcome to go ahead and go. I just want to acknowledge China White. She
Shout
became
out
a
to
member.
China
Thank you, thank you,
motherfucking
thank
white
you,
up
Blue.
in this thing.
Congratulations. Thank you for joining the family.
Thank you, China. Go ahead, Sheed. I'm sorry.
All right. So basically, I wanted to say this earlier, but y'all was having a royale in here for a minute. But when it comes to the Pookie and Ray Ray type talk, this your environment. If you had a choice to be better and do better, you would. But with certain people, when they're in their environment, that's all they know until they learn to do better. You got plenty of people, rappers, not even just rappers and famous people. You just got average people that, came from the bottom, strive to be better. Mom probably in the most, I got a partner now, his mom was out there doing her thing, and dad, he was there sometime, but great man. His dad was a great guy, but the only thing was he was in the gutter, and he rose himself up. This guy made damn near $300,000-400,000 a year now. Got successful, got a nice family and everything. So you don't stay at the bottom just because you was in that environment. And the thing about these guys, like, I don't know why guys in this space keep promoting the Pookies and Ray Rays, because if you not that, you strive just like the guy, what is it, Carrot Juice? You strive to get the woman that you want to get. And if things do happen, you might have a little issues with her. You choose to deal with those issues. You don't have to. And that's why I keep letting guys understand in this space. You only deal with what you want to deal with. Other than that, you don't have to accept everything. Like, these women, if they want to go that route and deal with those guys and come back to you later, that's their choice. It's not your choice to accept them. It's your choice to do what you want, because ultimately, if you're taking care of the woman, I'm not ultimately going to take care of nobody that, don't have my best interests or not looking out for me, or, just coming for the bag. And a lot of guys got to understand that in this space. Stop having like, grow up. If you don't know how to talk to a woman, go talk to somebody that do. Because average guys don't have their fathers, so you do need some type of game of, just saying hey. That's the first thing. A lot of guys don't even know how to say hello to a woman, but yet all these women are bad and evil. So the approach is there. That's the main issue with some guys in this space. I'm starting to hear is their approach is so bad. And even when you have these women that are bad, why are you still with them? If you made that choice to be with a woman that's bad for you, so when you get the bad result, you can't blame nobody for yourself. A lot of people. I'm just in with this. A lot of people got to stop pointing the finger at other people. You got to start holding yourself accountable. When did you know that she wasn't good, or the vice versa with the woman? When did you know that this guy was cheating all the time, and you start suspecting things, but you still stayed because of the look? That's society standards, and I'm in with that.
Thank you, She. Definitely appreciate your contribution to the conversation. Thank you for rejoining so
Good
you can
commentary.
get your last words in. I want to go ahead, Carrot Juice, since he was responding to some of the things that you said, and let you give us your closing comments, and then we'll have Robbie Blue.
Yeah, thank you for having me again. And like I said, I think having a conversation like this that is productive is like the key to moving forward in this whole thing. And what I wanted to say, I mean, there was so much stuff said, but I'll keep it concise and clear. There was a lot, especially with Nerdine. Shout out to him on getting his job, but it was a lot of just negativity tied to the whole situation, and no positive outreach, like no positive perspective on if somebody ends up with me and I want to get married at some point, and if they end up getting married, they're going to have a good life because I am constantly learning and trying to get better and do more. I have, ambitions and goals to do better. So just because I have standards and whatnot, and I won't deal with a lot of bad things, doesn't mean you won't have a great life. And it's a lot of Black men who are single and childless and you will have a great life. It's not all doom and gloom. Like, there's positive things out here. There are things going great with us because we have this space. So I just kind of wanted to put some positive energy out there, because a lot of it is just like doom and gloom. And it's like, no, man, like, life is good. Things are good. Like, people are healthy, and I hope everybody's doing well. And I'll end it with this. Men, what you need to do is, I did a video on Tristan Thompson and the situation going on with that young lady that he allegedly got pregnant. And black men, what you need to do out here is you need to protect your meat. Protect your meat. That's your money, your energy, your attention, and your time. As long as you do that and you stay on your purpose, you'll get to and above your goals each and every
Say
time.
it again, brother. I think they missed it. Say it again.
It's protect your meat. That is money, energy, attention, and time. If you protect your meat, you'll get to and above your goals each and every time as a man. And I'll end with that. Thank you very much.
Good stuff, Carrot Juice. Definitely appreciated your commentary too. I know the last time you were here, I think we got into a little tango. I can't even remember what it was regarding, but I know we had like differences of opinions.
Yeah.
But despite that, I'm glad that you came back and joined and contributed to the conversation. Very good, solid stuff. And hold on to your standards. Like, you've done well for yourself. You are entitled to have those standards, and you have every right to decide who it is that you want to partner with. And good luck to you.
Appreciate you. Thanks
No
for having me.
problem. No problem. Robbie Blue, what you got for us, bro?
I want to apologize earlier if I got a little graphic, but I was just being a little comical, but it was a true story. But all I want to close it on this, and I just want to say, some people look at love as like lightning in a bottle. We remember the first time when we really had like, unconditional real love, and then everything after that can just be friendships, relationships, or whatever. I just want to say, speaking from myself, when I went through my divorce, I think it took me realistically about 3 years to fully heal before I could really just say I was over it. And I'm saying that to just say to whoever it may concern that you cannot find love or appreciate love if it comes in your path if you still have any type of anger or insecurity or unresolved issues. Forgiveness is a gift that you give yourself. It doesn't let the other person off the hook. It doesn't mean that you're a pushover. It just means you're making yourself available first by loving yourself. And when you give out the positive energy, and like they say, you focus on, the acronym they use for meet, you're going to meet somebody, that may be looking for the same thing that's right for you. And I'll just say, be careful who you say you won't date or you won't marry, because the devil got one to tempt you, but God got one that, saying that you'll love for life, and you both will fight to work together.
Thank you, Robbie Blue. You definitely came with some gems today, brother. Some real solid points that you made, most, if not all of which I agreed with. So thank you for your contribution to the discussion. And we look forward to you joining the panel in the future.
Yeah, Robbie, was today your first time joining us?
Yeah, today was my first time. I normally don't do this kind of thing too much, but I think the nature of the topic, I was interested in listening, and I hope some of my words didn't cause strife and envy. I just feel like sometimes you can help somebody else by being unfiltered.
Okay.
We like honesty over here, so even if they did, I'm sure that they probably did more help than harm. It's okay. We welcome dissenting opinions. So if there were people who disagree with you, that's fine. That's how we learn. But yeah, we appreciate you coming through and checking us out and contributing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right, no doubt. I'll definitely subscribe. Y'all have a good one. Peace.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Shout out to Nuruddin. He says, Carrot Juice, that's what men are doing now. If marriage is good for you, great. But a lot of good black men are seeing that marriage is not worth it. Thank you so much, Nuruddin. We appreciate you. Mr. Research, what are your final thoughts?
Well, you know what? Let me start off with this quick thing. So I have two ladies that I deal with that are not my girlfriends. We just have a sexual relationship, but they're not my girlfriends. Um, One of them contacted me recently. We had a little situation last weekend where we was banging it out, And then she said, "Hey, I'll be back here next weekend." I said, "Okay, but I got stuff that I'm doing." Keyword, stuff that I'm doing. She flies in from Arizona. "Hey, just want to see if you had time." Now, I did have time, but guess what? I stuck to what I told her. I got stuff that I'm doing. So I made myself unavailable, even though I was. The other
Mm.
young lady contacted me this morning, and she was like, "Oh, my grandfather died," and so on and so forth. And I said, my empathy is with you, and I'm gonna send you a virtual hug. She said, um, "I don't know if I can make it out there," and I never responded back. My point is, I love women, but I don't care like that. I don't care enough to jeopardize myself. I don't care enough to get argumentative with them. I don't care enough to go back and forth with them. I respect you ladies, but if you ever go left, you go left. I think dudes care too darn much. Listen to what a lot of people are saying. I care so much, I got to spend 8 years telling you how you should be dating. I care so much that I got to get into an argument with you, even though you are refusing to listen. I care that much. No, we should be caring about our son, our lawyer money, and caring about our daughter in that order. You, you, look at what just happened. We actually woke Sister George up to have her close the show down because we wouldn't allow C Rose to just make a point. That's really what happened. The ladies are too classy to say it. So I'm gonna say it. We was having a conversation, but you kept messing with her friend, wouldn't allow her friend to speak. So she said, "You know what? Let's just do final thoughts." You dudes don't want to see yourself. It's amazing. It's just really amazing. And why do I come over? Because it's intellectually interesting to see how we as men should be at the forefront of having intellectual conversations, but we're at the forefront of female bashing. Female bashing. And I'm gonna land my plane by saying this. One of the people in the chat room who didn't like me, some guy from Long Island named Kitty Cloud. This guy had all this stuff to say, right? Then you kind of look at his scenario. He's just now finding out that you can light light snow and make it black. It's just this thing that black men are not self-developing themselves intellectually, but we're spending so much time trying to convince you women how y'all should be performing. Sister George and C Rose are in great relationships. They appear happy. But a lot of these other women, the Brittany Renters of the world, it's us as black men who are making them famous. Once once we stop talking about Superhead, guess what, Sister George? Nobody talks about Superhead no more. Once we stop talking about Amber Rose, guess what? Nobody talks about Amber Rose anymore. But black
Mhm.
men are the ones who are constantly making these less than individual females relevant year after year after year. Thank you, ladies, for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Research, for joining us and for adding your 2 cents. Definitely appreciated your commentary and keep coming back because we enjoy hearing from you just like you enjoy or find it entertaining. But you hit on some real true points and we appreciate you for
Wait. Was
that.
the true point about me like, look, F all this.
Yeah,
Come on, let's
that.
go.
And his earlier point about having to rein folks in, and you're supposed to be in a position where you're leading, but we're having to remind people about just like basic decorum skills. So
See, my meanness
um,
it comes in handy every now and then.
listen,
See?
Auntie Mama will get them together. You hear me? Yes, she will.
Girl, don't start no mess. Let me call Big Lou on your
No, no, no.
ass. Mhm.
See, that's why I gotta stop telling you stuff. But Better Future came through. He said, we are politically ignoring, and the son that you're caring for will probably have to deal with all the experience for the things that you don't care for. So, yeah, make changes for your future offspring, if for no one else. But thank you, Better Future. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was a good conversation. It went in a totally different direction than I anticipated, but that's what I get for anticipating because I can never predict what's going to happen on our show. Definitely enjoyed the show. Thank you for everyone who joined the panel and contributed to the discussion. Thank you to our special guest, cjnbm. He had to get on up out of here and feed them kids, feed them children, but we appreciate him nonetheless for coming by and, discussing the topic with us and letting us pick his brain a little bit as it related to the topic. And thank you to everybody who super chatted us and to our bro Kit Clouds for the Cash App. We appreciate y'all more than y'all will ever know. And the chat. Thank you to the chat for keeping it rocking.
Absolutely. Shout out to everybody who came through. I echo concrete sentiment. So thank you guys so much for joining us. This was a really, really good show, really dope conversations, as always, per usual, in that order. Y'all know how we get down. So y'all should stay tuned. We about to set this place on fire. Get ready.
That part. Got some good stuff coming up. Just continue to tune in because we go like our creativity never stops, ever, ever, ever.
So we know y'all out here suffering for content, but
listen, okay, I'm about to go. Here she goes.
Ain't gonna be messy. Ain't gonna be messy. I'm gonna chill. But you guys stay tuned, and we hope you have a great start to the week. And join us back here on Wednesday. We're out.